everyone, and welcome to round 3 of the 2022 AMA Esport Motocross Championship in MX Simulator. It is the Thunder Valley MX Simulator National live here tonight on Start Your Systems, In It Esports on Twitch and ESTV. My name is Kellen Brower, bringing you guys the action from the third round of 12 in this 2022 championship, and we have a fantastic racetrack lined up for you guys tonight here in Colorado. I'm going to have you guys take a little look around the racetrack here tonight, courtesy of our 2022 Moto Option Supercross champion, Braden Carter. Carter's had a rough season, or a little bit of a rough start to his season so far in the AMA Esport Motocross Championship, but trying to turn things around here tonight in Colorado, maybe get a win to get things going. So, finish line jump, left-hander into some rollers, and then another left-hander up through the first turn complex, right-hand 180 down through that Studio 8 Hole Shot Award. Going to be a tricky set of corners there to get right all night long, and you're going to see guys trying to make passes in a lot of these uphill sections as well. As you come out of that second corner, it's just this long flowing left-hander all the way to the very top of the hill, past the Thunder Valley sign at the very, very top of the hill, and then back down. Now, new to this year, a new addition to the racetrack, as you may have seen on the weekend on Saturday, was the shortened downhill coming down the hill right there into a left-hand 180-degree corner, and then it comes a short shoot back up the hill again. Now, the step down used to just go straight on, and it was a long right-handed sweeper to the bottom of the hill. Now it kind of cuts to the right. You have a little double jump that goes into a left-hand corner, then another sharp left-hand 180. This is the old U-turn at the bottom of the hill. Then it comes up to another short shoot, goes back to the right, and another 180 again, coming back down into this tricky right-handed sweeper. Very slow speed section that used to be really high speed, and now much more kind of condensed and compact. We're going to see guys probably struggle tonight a little bit to keep their traction down to the ground and still moving in a forward direction, because pretty much that entire section is at least a little bit off camber in each corner. Very, very tricky section that we're going to see them deal with. But then the rest of the track from here on out, pretty standard the last 4 or 5 years that we've seen it. You have that big uphill triple floater to kind of more or less the back of the track that sweeps all the way down the hill, and then you kink back to the right, and then a left 180 after you go through the little gully at the bottom of the hill. Come back through this middle section, a huge floater triple in the middle. We're going to see guys getting real corked out on that triple right there, and then down past the mechanics area here after right-hand 180. Little U-turn here, and then drop back down, and yet another kind of tricky section to deal with. You have this kind of like left-hand turn all the way down the hill through a couple rollers and then a double. You're just always kind of on that edge of traction trying to hook up in the ruts. And then another tricky section right here. Carter's going to triple and then quad over the top of this hill. Going to see a lot of guys really trying to figure that out here tonight as well. But then down to the finish line jump, and that is a lap here tonight at Thunder Valley. Well, again, thank you guys so much for joining us here for round 3 of the AMA Esport Motocross Championship. Hosted by Race Director Gaming and In It Esports. And of course, shout out to ESTV, In It Esports on Twitch for co-broadcasting with us here tonight on Start Your Systems. My name is Kellen Brower, been broadcasting this series for the last 7 years and been a part of the broadcast team for the last decade here for the Race Director Gaming competition. Very excited to bring you guys round 3 of the action here tonight in Thunder Valley, because this championship is starting to take shape a little bit in both the 250 and 450 classes. We're starting to see a little bit of distance being separated between the guys that we think are going to challenge for this title down through the stretch, and the guys that are still kind of struggling to find their footing coming off of a Supercross season, like we just saw on board there with Braden Carter. He was our Supercross champion, but still hasn't really figured out the outdoor scene just yet, while others are really actually taking off and running with it in full stride here to start the campaign. So here tonight in Thunder Valley, we're going to kick things off by talking about qualifying, what leads into the program here, and eventually we'll get into the racing action here in just a moment. But first, like I said, we're going to take a look at the qualifying. And Payson Johnson was your fastest qualifier here today on a 2:09.554. Bryce Whelan, Tyler Lane, Kevin Frazaka, Braden Carter, all right there in the mix as well. But Johnson has been absolutely flying to start the season, I should say, on that number 51 machine. Kind of a privateer effort. It's called the PJ team if you look it up in game, but Payson Johnson really just crushing it on that 51 machine. Now, again, if you've been with us through the first couple of rounds, you know we've been running consolation races. That's pretty much everybody from this position up has made the motos, and right here 37th place Jet Wisdom and on down has not quite made the motos just yet. So we're going to see maybe about 10 guys in the consolation race, or maybe not everybody shows up and we just have a clean 40 lining up for those 450 motos. But as we go to the 250 motocross class, go to the bottom, and yeah, about the same thing. We might see a consolation race, we might not. We're starting to get a little bit deeper in the season where less and less riders are keen to sign up for the full program, which tends to happen in Race Director Gaming competition. In the 250 class, the story this year has literally been all Logan Leitzel. Jaden Wilson gave him a run at the first round, and Nathan Prynn gave him a run at the second round, but Leitzel has been more or less dominant through the first 2 rounds of this championship in the 250 class. Seth Shirley there right behind him, Nathan Prynn, Jaden Wilson, and Cade Matherly, as well as Rasmus Balzer, all in the 213 range. You got about 0.3 of a second between the top 6 right there before you jump down to Trent Adams there in 7th. But yeah, Leitzel has been dominant, to say the least, in this 250 class. And we're going to see if anybody can stop his run here tonight. If we look at the championship standings so far through those 2 rounds, though, like I said, Leitzel 97 points to Prin's 68. Leitzel has 3 moto wins already and a second place finish, whereas Nathan Prynn has had a kind of a bad first round and an okay second round to get to 29 points back. But Jaden Wilson, he had a good first round, a terrible second round. He's 38 points back now. They're already a full moto behind Leitzel. And again, like I was saying, leading into tonight, you're already starting to see that separation, that gap at the top of this championship standings. In the 450 class, though, Payson Johnson, like I said, he has been electric. He has won 3 motos and a second place in the other one. But Alexis Leclerc, Tyler Lang, they're still reasonably keeping it close, much closer than we've seen in the 250 class, where Leclerc has been putting consistent rides together, hasn't really broke through just yet to win an overall. He did win the second moto at Fox Raceway, but we're still waiting to see whether Leclerc could get it done. Maybe tonight would be the night. Tyler Lang, though, the defending champion, a rough first round at Fox Raceway, kind of turned it around last week, went 2-2 for second overall, finishing up there behind Payson Johnson. And we're starting to see maybe if he can find those next few steps to get himself on the top step of the podium before the season really gets into its stride and we see Johnson continuing to extend that championship lead. So that is the story coming into tonight here at Thunder Valley. We're going to go ahead and jump back in the server and see what's going on. Looks like the consolation riders are loaded up, or is this 250 Moto 1 or is it the 250 consolation race? We're going to load in and take a look here, so bear with us for just a quick moment, folks. And I don't know why my title screen is still Hangtown. I definitely apologize for that. I totally changed it to Thunder Valley, but maybe my game didn't update. So this is looking like... No, it is a consolation race. So 250 consolation race. Going to go out on the track here, and they may already be on their race. So yeah, looks like 250 consolation race already out there and going. So we'll go ahead and cover this race as we normally do. We'll pop up the moto name here, make sure everything is nice and clean and tidy so you guys can see exactly what we are looking at here on the broadcast as the 250 consolation race circulates the racetrack here at Thunder Valley. And if you're new to motocross racing, or especially if you're new to the AMA Esport Motocross Championship, what we are currently watching, it's called a consolation race. It's more or less considered a last chance qualifier, if you will. 36 riders make it into the 2 points-paying motos outright based on their qualifying time, and everybody from 37th place on back will have to go to this consolation race and try to race their way into the final 4 spots to make up a 40-rider gate for those 2 motos that we'll see coming up here in just a few moments. So right now, this is that consolation race on track. They're going to go for 4 laps. Once the 4 laps are complete, we will have our final 4 riders, which will make up the 2 motos that we'll see a little bit later on tonight. Again, if you're new to AMA Esport Motocross Championship competition, we'll try to keep you guys up to date as much as we can to the nuances of the racing as well. And yeah, this game that we're playing here, it's called MX Simulator. If you've never played it before, I would recommend heading over to mxsimulator.com. mxsimulator.com is where you can go to try out the demo. You can try out the demo for free. It does not have some of the most updated looking stuff, so you might be a little bit confused why my game doesn't look epic and crazy, but it's just the demo of the game to show you how the physics engine works in the game. And once you try it out and you decide whether or not you like it, go ahead and click on that purchase button at mxsimulator.com. You'll be able to pick up the game, and a lot of this stuff that you're seeing right here, this entire AMA Esport Motocross Championship, everybody using these different rider skins and bikes and stuff like that, that is all community created. It is a very heavy community-based game where basically since 2008, when the game was released, the community has taken off and ran with it and kind of made it whatever they want it to be. So in this situation, it's all community-supported stuff, community-created stuff that we are seeing on the racetrack here tonight. And MX Simulator is a very simulation feeling, realistic, as close as it possibly can be motocross video game. It is not like your arcade games that you'll see on those consoles. It is a PC only game that takes a very, very long time to learn and get good at. Pretty much everybody you're going to see on the racetrack here tonight will have put at least a few hundred, if not more, hours into the game to be able to be at this level and compete at the highest level in MX Simulator. And some of the players that you'll see later on, especially in the 450 class, have probably put thousands of hours into the game to be at the level that they are. And this is the elite of the elite, the best of the best in the game, coming together and racing each other to see who will be crowned an AMA Esport Motocross Champion at the end of 2022. So that's a little bit of synopsis of the video game, where you can check it out. If you want to be involved in the series, be sure to head over to Init Esports. That's INIT Esports, all one word, .gg. So initesports.gg. You can get signed up over there, as well as over at racefactorygaming.com, all one word as well, Race Factory Gaming. And you can sign up for these races or sign up for the many amateur races that are available so you can get your feet wet a little bit, test the waters, and decide whether or not this is something you want to pursue as a professional gaming scene. Back to the action on track at the moment, though. Lap 3 underway of this 250 consolation race. And Nick Niles leading the field around. Brandon Nygren, Boots House in second. Timmy Briscoe of MSK is in third. And Colton Hansen, the WBB program, is in fourth. So Brent Heitzelman outside looking in on the Cyber Designs number 981 machine, but he has a couple more laps to try to make it happen and close that gap down to Colton Hansen. Looking real fresh right there. Like that kind of holistic blue setup. I think, is that Answer gear and then some blue Garnet boots? Good stuff. Good look out of Colton Hansen, WBB number 271. Oh, Heitzelman going to go down behind him, though, and lose definitely quite a bit of time right there. So already starting to see... Oh, actually, Hansen was down as well. You're starting to see a little bit of the nuances with this game. When you go down in this game and you, quote, fall off the bike, as we call it, a fall-off crash or legs-off crash, that's all that happens. Your legs will fall off the bike, but your hands will remain on the bike. That fall-off crash will take anywhere from 8 to 12 seconds to fully complete before you can pick your bike back up and continue on going. So if you hear us reference a fall-off crash, that's what we are mentioning. And it's just the way that the game operates and works. It's a little bit too difficult to have the rider fully separate from the bike and become a separate object, more or less, because then you could have somebody hit the rider object and go down. So it's just the way it's always worked. Back to P5 here, though. Tyson Johnson on the stance 159, trying to close that gap down a little bit here. Want to give a quick shout out, a couple people in our YouTube chat here tonight, watching over at youtube.com/startyoursystems. Cody M with a $2 donation. Shout out to Jack Mark, new 450 Pro number 121 Barkin. So we'll take a look at Jack Mark here in a little bit. And Endo Creations, just sending support. Thanks for all you do, buddy. Another $2 donation as well. So thank you guys so much, Cody M and Endo Creations, for the donations. Really appreciate it, and all the continued support of our community that watches these broadcasts week in and week out. Hopefully we've got it sorted this week. Again, I apologize if you tuned in on the YouTube side last week. There was a little bit of problems watching the races. We had the whole broadcast up on Init Esports on Twitch and ESTV, though, if you were able to tune in with us there. But looks like we are back to smooth sailing on the YouTube side as well, so good to have all the platforms working. If you have any problems, please be sure to let me know, and our support team will be happy to try to work out through some of the tech issues. But I think we got it all resolved. And we appreciate you folks bearing with us through the first couple rounds while we get it all dialed in to move into the middle part of the season here. All right, so final lap is underway here at Thunder Valley. Nick Niles on the Cyber Designs machine has been leading this entire consolation race, and he is well and truly on his way to a consolation race victory. The 713 Cyber Designs machine looking real good out here. Just putting it all together. And had a little bit of a challenge from behind there, but seems to have stretched that gap back out. And Timmy Briscoe, the MSK 309, about 5-6 seconds down now. And then Nygren, who was in that second position, has dropped back a little ways, but he's still not too far behind. And then, of course, Colton Hansen rounding out our final transfer spots, and it looks like it is going to stay that way unless one of those top four riders goes down, because the gaps have certainly opened up just a little bit more. One more shout out coming in, Nathan Nickerson, who used to stream these Race Factory Gaming national races back in 2013, 2014, and was involved in many other broadcasts through many series in MX Simulator, donating $20, saying quality streams every week. So shout out Nathan Nickerson, the legendary Nate himself. Thanks so much, Nickerson. Appreciate the support. And of course, all of us OGs definitely appreciate the quality streams you put in week and week out back then as well. All right, final straightaway coming up for Nick Niles is going to drop down into the valley one more time and up the other side, just double to the top. Launch off of that big wall jump and land out to flat. And through this final sequence of corners, Nick Niles going to win the consolation race here at Thunder Valley. Timmy Briscoe will finish up in second place. Brandon Nygren bringing it through the final sequence of corners to pick up third. Good deal there for him. And Colton Hansen, through the front door, he's gone down. That's Tyson Johnson's opportunity if he can close up here right at the flag. He's off the racetrack, though. Colton Hansen's trying to get it spun around. He's sideways in the track. He's going to get going, but Tyson Johnson is right there. This could come down to penalties when it's all said and done as Johnson, he slides up to the finish line. He's going to lose a lot of time right there. Would have been about a second down, ends up 4 seconds down. But Colton Hansen looks as though he survived. Boy, oh boy, you never want to crash in the last corner when you're about to go to the motos. But he gave us a wild ride right there, and Johnson may have just blown it as well. Tyler Moore, Damian Lawyer, Dylan Love, Dylan Gatlin, Brandon Wolf, Brent Heitzelman, Jake Fisher, Will Clark, Trevin Thompson, Darius Peterson, Austin Irwin, Kamar Glover also missing out on the motos here tonight as they did not finish the race. Dylan Love just disconnected as well. So the cuts have come in and actually no penalties whatsoever. So it would not have mattered. Nick Niles, Timmy Briscoe, Nygren, and Colton Hansen going through to the 250 class motos. Again, another shout out real quick to Jay Perry. That is Jack Perry from Jack Perry Designs, who helps make a lot of tracks in the game. And he has donated $7.99 Australian dollars. Cheers for keeping the streams up, Kellen. He says, hopefully the tracks gives you some good racing. Sorry, I'm just having a bit of a stroke reading there for some reason. I don't know what was going on, but shout out Jack Perry, Nathan Nickerson, Endo Creations, Cody M, all you guys so much. Thank you for the donations. Really appreciate it. The continued support of the community over the years has been tremendous, and really can't thank everybody enough that tunes into these broadcasts every week, especially now that we're on to 3 different streaming platforms that you could tune into. And hopefully wherever it is you're watching, you're having a good time so far. We have more racing coming up, though, folks, as we're going to get loaded back in. I believe there was just enough people to have a 450 consolation race as well, so that should be coming up here in just a second. So 2 rounds in to this championship. 2 very different rounds in many respects, but also the same in others. And we're going to see if Thunder Valley could perhaps present a bit of a different obstacle for guys tonight, as the round we're looking at on our screen right there, Hangtown, and the round before it, Fox Raceway, were both very high speed and more or less kind of flat tracks, whereas Thunder Valley is literally all on one hillside. And a lot of it is slow speed now and off cambers, so yeah. So we're going to get loaded back in and see what's coming up next. Language barrier, Jack Perry says, fellow English speaker. All right, looks like let's see what's on the gate here as we get loaded back into the track here at Thunder Valley, Lakewood, Colorado. About 15 to 20 minutes outside of Denver, which of course is the largest city in Colorado. So it's a pretty cool racetrack in real life to visit if you're ever keen to go to watch the national or go to the racetrack itself, because definitely probably the closest national track to a major city I guess Washougal and Portland are pretty close. Trying to think if anyone is significantly closer to a large city like that. Excuse me. But here we go. 450 consolation race coming up now. 250 consi has already come and gone. So 450 consolation race now. Again, top 4 riders will transfer through the 4-lap race that's coming onto your living room screens at the moment. These guys are lined up and ready to go. There's not too many riders on the gate, but remember, it is only 4 positions that transfer through. Who's it going to be as the gate is down once again? That land rush up the hill. It's from the inside. Might have been Peter Like there. Almost got a nose, but we were on board with JR Reyes, and the 73 machine is indeed going to grab that hole shot. So Ray is out front. Copeland moving into second place. Rockefeller third, and Dakota French in fourth. So quite a few fast riders mixed in here. Only 13 starting this one, but pretty much any one of these guys, certainly a rider capable of making the motos. We have a couple 2-digit national number riders mixed in already here at the front. Actually, 4 different 2-digit national numbers. Right up here at the sharp end, Dylan Cavacuti also back there on the 66. Austin Bear on the 70. As we take a look at Dakota French here early on, but they're still chasing JR Reyes, the swapmotolive.com number 73 here at the bottom of that middle off-camber corner. The Cope right behind him on that BPC Tiger Design 63, Dakota French, and then Aaron Rockefeller just there ahead of Michael Mudge, who is actually the 761, but it looks like in-game he's running the 57 here tonight. And a quick shout out to Brian LB or IB. Sorry, I'm not if I read that wrong, but $50 donation from him as our leader is down. JR Reyes hits the deck. But a $50 donation from Brian. Great work. Thank you, he says. And very much appreciated that donation as JR Reyes and now Dylan Adams goes down as well. And now everybody's laying down in one corner, so pretty much the top 7 or so riders looks like they have now separated from that group right there. But Dylan Copeland takes over the race lead after JR Reyes goes down. Gonna jump off into the hay bales there on the inside of the track. Dakota French on the 117 closes up a little bit. And things are tight back here. Michael Mudge, Aaron Rockefeller pretty much running nose to tail. Here's the option line where they hop that wall jump at the very top of the hill. Rockefeller actually clipped it with his tires. Nice job to not get kicked over the bars there. That definitely could have been very, very bad for him. But a nice little freight train right here. This is oftentimes some of the best racing we'll see all night long because these guys only have this one and only opportunity in a 4-lap race to try to make it into the points-paying motos a little bit later on. So it is kind of their real last shot, if you will, at actually racing here tonight as Dakota French off the side of the track going to lose that second spot there to Mudge. And wow, man, Michael Mudge going after Deco for the race lead. He is on a mission. Number 761 machine. See the 57 on his back, but should be running 761 as is the norm. IB, not LB. I apologize, Brian, but again, thank you so much for that donation. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show so far. Dakota French gets into the rear tire there of Mudge. Mudge actually tipped over. French is fully off the bike, and there goes that entire freight train of riders. He has slipped back to 7th now. Peter Like went through. Aaron Rockefeller. And Dylan Copeland actually just went down with the race lead. So the 63 machine, he's going to slot back into now the 4th and final transfer spot. But 7 riders here, essentially nose to tail, trying to make it into this final transfer spot. And boy, oh boy, is it close as the lead changes hands. Dylan Cavacuti. Connect Visual 66 goes to the front on Michael Mudge. Good fight at the front of this one, though. And we still have 2 more laps to go. As I alluded to earlier, some of the best racing we might see here tonight in this consolation race is Michael Mudge. Front tire knife there a little bit on landing. And a nice job to keep that Suzuki planted beneath him. Austin Bear and Dylan Copeland now closing up from behind a little bit, and then Rockefeller on the 64 is going to take full advantage as Copeland goes flipping down the hill. Peter Light goes by, and Dakota French actually gets hung up a little bit. He'll get passed by Jack Fowler as Copeland gets going just as J.R. Reyes on the 73 gets there, and he will now fall back to about 9th position after leading this thing just a few moments ago. So everybody's still jockeying for position as Austin Bear is down on the outside of the track there on the 70. Here comes Copeland and J.R. Reyes. They're going to sneak back by into 8th and now 7th, respectively. So Cavacuti continues to lead from Mudge, but the battles are starting to become a little bit more hot and heavy from behind as Rockefeller got a big tank slapper out of the first corner there, throwing it back and forth. And Peter Like, the locomotive himself, hey there guy on pretty much every platform except the forums. He's Hi, I'm Skyke on the forums. I don't know why he went with that name, but the MX Simulator forums pretty much the place that pretty much everybody can see. And oh, we got some chaos here. Peter Like clipping that Mudge who was down, retains 4th place but loses a position to Dakota French, and now Rockefeller goes up and over the bars. So French goes back into 2nd place, Like now up to 3rd, and Jack Fowler has now moved into the final transfer spot with Austin Bear right behind him, and J.R. Reyes closing back up. What an up and down sequence here as Bear goes off the track. J.R. Reyes is going to move into 5th. And Jack Fowler just got hung up on an inside rut there a moment ago, so J.R. Reyes is smelling an opportunity here to try to make a pass. As Fowler hops off of that ledge to the outside, just trying to hit his marks and not think about what's going on behind him. 2 other riders bearing down, wanting to make it into the motos as, man, oh man, Austin Bear is pushing J.R. Reyes as they go off this big triple in the back. To the outside line, Reyes goes as he slingshots down the hill. Closing up quite a bit on Fowler. That gap significantly came down in the braking zone. Oh, that's Peter Light down. Oh, Peter hitting the deck, and Aaron Rockefeller goes by, as did Austin Bear and Reyes. So now this right here on your screen is the new battle for the final transfer spot, as Reyes moves into 4th behind Fowler, who goes to 3rd as Like went down. And Austin Bear trying to make the pass on the 73. Meanwhile, the 73 machine of Reyes pushing up to the 704 of Jack Fowler. Almost through the front door there. J.R. Reyes is going to go triple, try to get this pop at the top of the hill, and he's got it to the inside on Fowler, and a nice move in the end. J.R. Reyes up into 3rd place. So the white flag is waving. Cavacuti has got himself a sizable lead out front, but if he crashes, he'll fall right back into all of this chaos as Dakota French sits in 2nd. Ray is in 3rd, and Fowler's in 4th. That gap has opened up behind them. It is Rockefeller and then Peter Like now in 5th and 6th, respectively. Dylan Copeland must have gone down, or actually, excuse me, it's Austin Barracks that went down on his Yogi Designs number 70 because he has lost a lot of ground. He's back to 8th spot and about 10 to 11 seconds behind what we're watching here, the battle for 5th place between Rockefeller and Like. These two are trying to push up to the group ahead of them. J.R. Reyes has gotten around Jack Fowler for 3rd place. So this group right here, 3 seconds back of Jack Fowler, trying to put in one more qualifying lap on the final lap of the race here and maybe make a late pass on the 704 here. Rockstar Makita Suzuki of Jack Fowler. Fowler's looking pretty confident in his position right now. J.R. Reyes has gone down again, and Peter Like swaps and goes down trying to avoid him. That puts Rockefeller in the final transfer spot, but now he slides out. Reyes goes back by. Here we got Dylan Copeland now sneaking up into the picture. He's trying to pass Rockefeller, but he's going to go down. Rockefeller with a little love tap puts the 63 of Copeland onto the deck. So it's now French from Cavacuti. Actually, Cavacuti got French back. Fowler and then J.R. Reyes with Rockefeller trying to put a last-ditch effort and close this gap down. Jack Fowler looks as though he is going to be A-okay in this position, though, if he can survive the last couple of corners. Cavacuti must have went down because French closed that gap quite a bit. but it looks like the 66 machine, barring a late crash here, is going to be good to go. Dropping down into that valley one more time, and then they try to pop that triple and just float right over the top of that jump right there as they come out of the valley. But here it is, Dylan Cavacuti, your winner, 450 consolation race. Dakota French second, Jack Fowler third, maybe not. JR Reyes, final turn pass. Not quite, but Reyes will still finish up in fourth, 1.6 seconds over Rockefeller at the line, so it was definitely close. And Copeland's going to be kicking himself because he had an opportunity there, but the contact with Rockefeller pushed him out. Jet Wisdom also going home early tonight. Peter Like, Austin Bear. Like I said, a lot of talent mixed through this field in this consolation race that's going home early. Michael Mudge, Joey Arrico, Dylan Adams, and Anthony Pachone, who did not start this one, also will be going home early. For now, though, it is Cavacuti, and penalties are in, and it actually stayed the same, as unfortunately Rockefeller, he had 1.03 seconds of cuts and lost time. Reyes is safe, as is Fowler, French, and Cavacuti. So a nice job in the end by Dylan Cavacuti to win this 450 consolation race. Sets himself up for 37th gate selection in the 450 motos coming up shortly. Again, if you're just joining us for the first time here in the 2022 AMA Esport Motocross Championship Series, what we're about to watch is the 4 motos that will pay points each single moto. So 250 Moto 1 is coming up next. The winner of 250 Moto 1 gets 25 points towards that championship fight. Second place gets 22. Third place gets 20. Fourth gets 18. Fifth place gets 16. And then sixth place gets 15. Seventh gets 14. So on and so forth, down to 1 point for 20th place. And everybody back of 20th place, so 21st through 40th, does not score points towards the championship. But we do this twice today, so there will be a 250 Moto 1 and a 250 Moto 2. After those 2 motos are complete, we will tally up the overall scores on the day based on points. So if a rider goes 2-1, they have scored 47 points. If a rider goes 1-3, they have scored 45 points. The rider that went 2-1, of course, would win the overall with more points on the day. In the event of a tie, if we have a 2-1, 1-2 situation, it's the person who has the higher finish in the second moto that breaks the tie. So in a situation where riders go 1-2, 2-1, the rider that finishes the second moto in first place would obviously win the overall in the day, even though they would tie on points with 47. And that is how you calculate your overalls here tonight. The schedule for tonight is as follows. 250 Moto 1 coming up first. Those riders will be going 30 minutes plus 2 laps for the 40 riders on the gate. Then there will be a small little break before 450 Moto 1 starts. And again, a 40 rider gate going for 30 minutes plus 2 laps. Again, another small break before 250 Moto 2 starts. So between 250 Moto 1 and 250 Moto 2 is roughly a 45-minute gap or so based on total race time that it'll take to get the 450 Moto off in between it, as well as a little bit of buffer time on either side. So riders after that first 250 Moto, believe me, it might sound dumb, but you can get a little bit of thumb pump. Your hands kind of jam up a little bit after trying to play this game competitively for 30 straight minutes. Definitely happens. So once that moto is done, get a little bit of break, rest and relaxation. You can watch the 450 Moto, or you could keep playing the game and trying to find lines or whatever that you feel comfortable with. And then that second 250 Moto goes off. Once that is done, of course, tally the overalls, decide an overall winner on the evening here at Thunder Valley. And then 450 Moto 2 will complete the evening program here. So we have 4 straight motos back to back to back to back, 30 minutes plus 2 laps each, 40 riders on the gate both times. And at the end of the night, we'll have 2 separate overall winners. and we'll see where the championship picture lies when all is said and done. But we're so thankful to have you with us here for round 3 of the 2022 AMA Esport Motocross Championship in MX Simulator and Init Esports and Race Raptor Gaming production. Wherever you're watching here tonight, whether you're watching on Start Your Systems on YouTube, Init Esports on Twitch, or ESTV or ESTV Plus, we thank you so much for tuning in and watching the broadcast for the 3rd round of this championship. Riders are now going to the gate, getting lined up and ready to go. We'll give you guys a quick rundown through the field of who is lined up for this first 250 moto, so you guys as well can get a bit of a clue on what we're about to see hitting the racetrack. As we load back into the game, there we go. So, looks like Colton Hansen, Leith Ness, Tanner Rogers, Timmy Briscoe, Brett Powers, Trevor Burns, Nick Niles, Christopher McPherson Jr., Jeremy Siebold, Braden Tharp, Cooper Hunt, Jack Gatlin, Seth Shirley, Sean Hambrook, Lucas Schwartner, Jeff Cooper, Evan Holt, Jaden Wilson, Erasmus Balzer, Jeff Giffen, Alex Zellner, Tyler Blowers, Seth Carr, Sonny Spicer, Carson West, Logan Leitzel, Luke Sullivan, Nathan Prynn, Casey Cochran, Noah McLaughlin, Hayden Stevenson, Johan Bordeaux, Johnny Padani, Buddy Parker, Nick Thomasunis, Tyler Sylvia, Trent Adams, and Cade Matherly make up the 40 riders going to the gate here for 250 Moto number 1 at Thunder Valley. Go back down the field a little bit and see our championship leader, Logan Leitzel. 3 for 4 in Moto victories to start the year, and just a 2nd place finish on his scorecard thus far is a lone blemish to his otherwise perfect season that has afforded him a 29-point advantage in the championship. Quick shout out as we go to start this moto to Saru for a $2 donation. Thanks for the stream, Kellen. Hashtag Zach's Bowling. I'm not going to say that word because we are on television. But thanks so much, Saru. Appreciate it. As we get ready to drop the gate here for 250 Moto number 1 from Thunder Valley. The riders are getting loaded in. They are ready to go. The timer is up on the screen. We're going to take a look here at somewhere in the middle. Casey Cochran on the 20. Let's drop the gate at Thunder Valley. Oh, he picked a pretty good rider to look at here as he almost led into the first corner, but it's Nathan Prynn, Studio 8 Whole Shot Award on the 12. He's got the 23 of Seth Shirley to his inside, and Shirley goes to the race lead. Oh, Shirley with a big oppo whip up the hill on the first lap as Prynn tries to fight back to the outside. Great first sequence of corners, and it looked like mostly people got through pretty clean. As look at that, Shirley jumping down the hill to the outside off the racetrack. Not sure if he knows that he's not going to get cuts right there or what he's trying to do, but either way, Shirley, who was a moto winner at the Grand Prix on Monday night, finally feels like he knows how to win these things, and certainly the confidence is oozing out of the number 23 Braxton Worldwide machine as he whole shots, or not whole shots, I should say, but takes the early lead in this moto, trying to put a little bit of an advantage between himself and Nathan Prynn, but Prynn is starting to fight back already. To the outside for Prynn, far inside for Shirley, and it may look like they're going a little bit slow through that corner for as long and flowing as that corner is, but what you don't really see from this camera view that we might get from some onboard shots a little bit later on is that entire section of the racetrack is basically off camera, which means the track is falling away from them as Prynn shoots down the inside and takes over the race lead again. Not sure what happened to Shirley, but he ended up kind of swinging way wide right there, and Prynn shot down the inside and flew down that downhill to take the race lead, trying to get away just as fast as Shirley had it in those opening sequence of laps, or corners, I should say. But it's Prynn from Shirley, Cochran, and Jack Gatlin. Alex Zellner rounding out our top 5 with Stevenson, Leith Ness, Cade Matherly back here, but man, coming through right there, your screen, the red plates on the Yogi number 16, that's Logan Leitzel. Looks like he's just moved into 7th as he jumps off the inside of the racetrack. So not terrible, but does have some of his more or less championship rivals towards the sharp end of the field here early on, so he's going to have to put his head down and start charging as the rider went down. That was Leith Ness. No, it was Casey Cochran, excuse me, on the 20, who lays it down at the end of the first lap. So unofficially, it looks like Leitzel will have crossed at 6th at the end of the first lap as we go back to our battle for the race lead. Now, Nathan Prynne has been fastest or second fastest qualifier at every one of the first 3 rounds of the year. Unfortunately for him, it did not amount to nearly much of anything at the opening round at Pala because he had terrible starts in both motos, had to fight his way through the field both times, and now he's going to have a terrible situation here as he clips the tough block coming down the hill and goes down. Seth Shirley goes by into the race lead. There goes Jack Gatland into second place, and somehow Nathan Prynne had already opened up enough of an advantage on the rest of the field to get up still in third. Crazy sequence right there, as Stevenson now might get passed by Leitzel to the outside for Leitzel. Nice pass right there to get into fourth place, as he is on the move here early on. Logan Leitzel, someone has awoken the beast for this outdoor championship. He is completely different than maybe we've ever seen him in this game. And the last 2 weeks have been some of the more impressive 2 weeks of racing we've seen in the 250 class for some time. Already trying to work on closing up on Prynne, who's now third, and Gatlin finding himself into second place here early on. They're now chasing Seth Shirley, who's just off your screen at the bottom here at the end of the downhill. Gatlin now tossing a big whip there. Nathan Prynne trying to close that gap back down. Oh, a little bit deep on the ruts right there through the corner. Not too bad, though. Didn't lose too much time. Whew. That rear end kick out, too. Nathan Prynne looking a little bit loose here early on. Gets that front tire just over the top and was able to triple to the outside, so gains pretty much all of that time back. And now he's challenging Jack Gatlin for second, but he has got to be very wary of the fact that Logan Leitzel is behind him, as the 2 riders ahead of Leitzel head up the hill nearly side by side. Prynne is trying to put a nose to the inside of Gatlin for this second position. Nothing doing just yet, as now they turn around and head back up the hill. Oh, Gatlin cases the step up and goes down. So now Leitzel moves up into third, and he is behind his closest championship combatant, Nathan Prynne. Remember, 29 points between these two. Prynne has to beat Logan Leitzel in both motos here today to really start clamping the championship points back in his favor in this early season swing. As we go on board with Leitzel, and you can definitely now see from his onboard perspective just kind of how off camber this whole section is. You come down to the bottom of this hill and then look at how far he's going to have to lean into this rut just to get it to turn. Almost loses the front end there on exit. And then again, this corner as well, pretty much entire thing off camber, which means the inside is much more raised up and it's all sloped down to the outside of the racetrack. So there's not really anything to bank off of. It's obviously some of the ruts in the corner that you can hit, but it's not something you can bank into or anything along those lines. Pretty tough thing to get right, especially in MX Simulator, where tires don't necessarily dig down into the ground in terms of traction in this game. They're all kind of on top of something, and you're trying to find that razor thin edge of still going in the right direction and actually going there fast, but not pushing the limit, having that front tire push over the rut and go down. So Leitzel and Prynne both making it look much easier than it is so far. We still have a lot of this moto left to go. And this battle between the two of them starting to heat up a little bit. Leitzel has closed that gap back down to the 12. See if Leitzel can do this line. Prynne did it as well, but Leitzel to the inside makes the pass. Beautiful maneuver for the number 16 Yogi Designs rider as he moves up into second place. Boy, we are seeing much of the same signs that we saw from Logan Leitzel at the first 2 rounds of this championship here at round 3 in Colorado. And this is going to be a long summer for the rest of the field if they cannot figure out how to beat this man right here. It's Seth Shirley up the road that is leading this race, but if we even do a lap time check, 2:15.6 to a 2:18.9. Leitzel just went 3.3 seconds faster than Shirley last time by, and Shirley just went off the racetrack right there. So let's actually stick on board with Leitzel once more, get a little bit of an idea of where maybe he's gaining that time. Look at that. I mean, coming down that hill right there, down to 2.1, 1.9, like the time is just chunking away. 1.6, it went from 3.4 to 1.4 in about 3 corners. Logan Leitzel literally flying around this track right now. Not sure Seth Shirley's going to really have anything to say. Look at how fast he caught him. This is 4 corners. He went from 3.4 to on his rear tire, basically. Now, the caveat there is that Nathan Print is kind of following him. Oh, but Print just went down on the inside of the off camber. So Leitzel now has it all to himself to try to close down on your race leader. And it's between just the two of them. Oh, a little kick out there. And now he gets kicked sideways and goes down hard. Wow, so at the bottom of your screen, you may have saw Seth Shirley get sideways in that rut. Leitzel hit it a little bit harder, got flipped upside down, went down, and now Nathan Print hits him, and Print is off the bike again. What a weird sequence of events that was. But essentially what it's done now is it's completely separated the top 3 riders as Casey Cochran comes through. He'll take over the 3rd position for the time being, battling it out with Nathan Print. Print of District Designs, Cochran of the UND 760 Motorsports program. UND, of course, Undefined Lifestyle, which is Casey Cochran's clothing brand. Cochran, a near title winner indoors this year. So he's going to land on a hay bale and allow Print to scoot through. Cochran now settles back into 4th place. Hayden Stevenson, Proline Designs. Oh, just as we were about to start talking about how good he's riding, he ends up down and off the side here. Going to lose 4 positions or so, but get going just alongside Seth Carr on the 35 in a battle for 9th place. So while he was laying there, the riders went through. Frank Jackson, now the leader of this group, in 5th place on his 32 machine. Tanner Rogers, Cade Matherly, Jack Gatlin, Seth Carr, Jaden Wilson, Hayden Stevenson, Jeremy Siebold, Jeff Cooper, Rasmus Balzer, Tyler Blowers, Cooper Hunt, Luke Sullivan, Tyler Sylvia, Johnny Padani, Sonny Spicer, Leith Ness, Trevor Burns, Braden Tharp, Alex Zellner, and then a huge pileup of riders at the bottom of the hill there. But you can see all the way back to Alex Zellner here, who's running in 24th place. I mean, there's pretty much an entire freight train that's wrapping all the way around that uphill, and currently led around now by Cade Matherly. Matherly, Tanner Rogers, Jack Gatlin to the outside, Frank Jackson, I think they're on the 32 alongside of Gatlin. No, it's the 35 of Seth Carr, excuse me. But this is close. Look at how many riders are bunched together here, 5 or 6 in a row. And Matherly trying to catch up to Frank Jackson as another rider comes through on the other side of the racetrack right there. I was trying to get a number, didn't quite see who that was. But a good little fight here for 6th position. Matherly and now Seth Carr. Seth Carr has made a nice first half of the lap right here. He's passed maybe 4 riders. Moved his way into 7th, and now he and Cade Matherly are certainly putting a little bit of a distance on the rest of the field behind them, as it's Stevenson versus Siebold coming to the bottom of the hill here. Stevenson goes a little bit wide, and Siebold's going to take full advantage. Number 18, Panini Motorsports ride of Jeremy Siebold, former Moto Option Supercross champion in the 450 class. Dropping back down, having a little bit of fun racing the 250 class this year, it looks like. Just trying to have, I think, just have some fun with the game, right? Some of these guys end up getting maybe a little bit burnt out of the constant struggle to be competitive, especially in the 450 class, where the level at the top is just so high. So to take a step back, maybe jump back down to a class you're more comfortable with on a 250, just go out there and have fun. Seems to be working pretty well for Antonio Cairoli this year. And now working for Jeremy Siebold in this 250 division. Cade Matherly versus Seth Carr really starting to heat up here. Carr on that 35 machine really has been on a mission these last few laps. as he's now moved into 6th spot. Did a 2:20.3, his personal best lap of the race last time by, and he's going to pull up alongside Cade Matherly as they dually scrubs up to the middle portion of the hill. Little step here, and then all the way to the very top of the Thunder Valley racetrack. Still has not quite made the pass just yet. Now, these two are not teammates, even though it might look like it. Matherly riding for Stance, whereas Seth Carr riding for Phil Ski and Snowboard, backed by Underground RC. But a good fight between these two. It seems like it is never ending at the moment between them. Been going on for well over a lap now and continuing. As look at this, Seth Carr trying to find a different line. Just not something really there yet. And now they're going to split Casey Cochran, who is just down at the bottom of the hill right there. So they are going to move up into, this is now 5th and 6th respectively, I believe. Or maybe 4th and 5th actually. So this is a battle inside the top 5 now. And they're pushing each other, which is obviously benefiting them both. Seth Shirley, 3-second lead on Leitzel, 6-second lead on Prin, and then 27 seconds back to this battle between Matherly and Carr. So at this point, they're not pushing each other into another battle. They're trying to push each other maybe away from the challenge coming from behind, as there's still a hefty group of riders wanting to fight inside of this top 5. Let's peek back to the front, though, see what's going on. Shirley still has the lead, but it seems like Leitzel's pace, inevitable he's going to catch him. 17 flat to a 22.3. 4 seconds gained that last time by. 4.3 to be exact. Leitzel with the scrub on that first one. Scrub again on the double, and then he hops all of those bumps on the inside of this first little kind of step coming to the top of the hill. Your leader's down. Seth Shirley is down and off the bike at the top of the hill. I mean, a very picturesque scene here as we look at the Thunder Valley sign with Shirley laying upside down in front of it. But man, that is tough break right there for the 23 ride, who had been really solid at the front up until that moment and was kind of letting things unfold behind him. But now, new leader, Logan Leitzel at the halfway point of this one. And we are going to have to wait and see whether or not Nathan Prin has something for Logan Leitzel in the second half of this race. Otherwise, yet another moto win perhaps on the cards for Leitzel. And then for the time being would extend his championship lead over that 30-point mark already in just the 5th moto of 2022. Crazy how fast it is already separated. Let's go ahead and give you guys, now that we have crested that halfway point of this first 250 moto, we'll give you guys a top 20 rundown through the field here as Logan Leitzel on the Yogi Designs number 16 leads the way at Thunder Valley. Seth Shirley has now moved back into second place, so Nathan Prin went down. Shirley on that 23 Braxton Worldwide machine. Nathan Prin, the District Designs number 12, runs in third now. The Stance number 38 of Cade Matherly comes over in fourth, with Jeremy Siebold now moving up and rounding out the top 5 on his Panini Motorsports number 18. Sixth, Casey Cochran, UND 760 Motorsports number 20, ahead of Seth Carr on the Phil's Underground RC number 35, but Jeremy Siebold just went down, so that is going to be 6th place now for Seth Carr. Oh, and that was that Hayden Stevenson. Man, nobody apparently has a good spotter, because they're all plowing into Jeremy Siebold here at the bottom of the hill. And what was meant to be just a simple one fall-off crash has turned into much, much more. Let's go back to our rundown, though. 7th place for Frank Jackson, Phil's Underground RC number 32. 8th for Cooper Hunt, Braxton Worldwide number 13. 9th for Hayden Stevenson on the 312 Pro Line Designs ride. And 10th now for Jeremy Siebold, Panini Motorsports number 18. 11th, Johnny Padani, Underground RC, Phil's number 180. Going to go to 10th around Stevenson, though. And going to 11th, Jack Gatlin on the number 50 CV program. Stevenson is just giving him fits, though, from behind right here, and maybe passing both of them there. The 77 of Rasmus Balzer on the Rumus machine goes into 12th now, I believe that is. Yeah, 12th for Balzer, 13th for Stevenson. Luke Sullivan on the number 11 Panini Motorsports ride is now in 14th. 15th, the Underground RC Phil's number 49 of Tanner Rogers. 16th for the iSpec number 976 of Sean Hambrook. 17th is the Yogi Designs 43 of Trent Adams. 18th for Sunny Spicer, SwapMotoLive.com 205. 19th for Tyler Sylvia on the C4D MX number 197, but he's going to drop back to 20th, as moving up around him was the Verb Moto 746 of Tyler Blowers to move into 19th, and Sylvia rounds out our top 20. Look at this, though. A couple guys that have finished on the podium this year already. Johan Bordeaux and Jaden Wilson trying to knock into the points now. Bordeaux is going to go to 20th, Wilson to 21st, and my goodness, they have a lot of work to do to try to score some valuable points in this moto here, as now Wilson's going to shoot around his teammate, actually going to 20th for the time being, as Bordeaux settles back to 21st. And behind them, another teammate, Trevor Burns. So these three guys, talk about needing to get together and freight train towards the front. All of these guys, at least to some degree, figured a battle for this championship, at least inside the top 5 of it, as Jaden Wilson enters tonight's racing third in the championship standings, and they are well down the order trying to recover from something. Probably a bad start and then a sequence of crashes, but that is just not a good look for any of them, especially when title rival Logan Leitzel looks like he is on his way to remaining near flawless so far in 2022. A comfortable advantage here in 250 Moto 1. No real pressure from Prin or Shirley from behind. Fairly close battle between these two, but not close enough to really talk about just yet. How about Cade Matherly? He has been slowly reeling these guys in just a little bit. It's only, 15 seconds now behind Seth Shirley? 220 versus a 223, so he's been putting some good laps down. Let's see if Matherly on the Stance 38 can knock on the door and maybe get a podium before this thing is all said and done. And then Seth Carr rounding out our top 5 like we had seen. Cochran in 6th, Jackson 7th. Cooper Hunt has now moved into 8th position. He just got around Jeremy Siebold. And Hunt, another rider that looks to factor in for some race victories, some podiums and such in this 2020 AMA Esport Motocross Championship campaign. Hunt last year won a couple rounds, second in the championship for much of it, and earned that number 13, of which he used none of it in the Moto Option Supercross Series earlier this year. Now just trying to get his feet wet again here in the MX Simulator scene after spending quite a bit of time getting really good at MX bikes, as Seth Carr was just... No, that's Frank Jackson, excuse me, who was down to the outside of the track. And that is another position gained for Cooper Hunt. There is Seth Carr just getting back on the track. So was one turn late on the Seth Carr call going down. Now Jeremy Siebold in a little bit of a sandwich here between teammates. It's that Phil's Underground RC program on either side of that Panini number 18. And yes, it is rather coincidental and funny that the Panini rider is in a sandwich. Good little fight here, though. It's kind of turning into a 4-rider battle as they've kind of caught up to Cooper Hunt, who sent it down through the ruts right there. Somehow did not fall off the bike and maybe gained time, but did so while sliding on his shoulder. As 4 riders in the air off of this big triple in the middle at the same time. Hunt, Jackson, Siebold, and then Seth Carr at the back of this group now. Lap traffic moving aside. That's Colton Hansen. Nicely done for him. Took a while for these guys to hit lap traffic as well, so that's maybe a good sign to show how long this racetrack is and how long it is before you go a lap down. But it looks like Siebold just hopped his way around the 32 of Frank Jackson. That will move him back to 7th and also close him right up to Cooper Hunt. So the 13 and the 18 now going to have a bit of a battle for 6th while being pushed by those Phil's Underground RC teammates, Frank Jackson and Seth Carr from behind. Little scrub dualies up the hill, not quite side by side, but look at Frank Jackson there on that 32, not letting the experienced veteran of Jeremy Seebold sneak away from him whatsoever. He is staying right on his heels, and we got a rider down. Was that Cochran? It was. So Casey Cochran just lays it down outside, or from inside the top 5 to fall back outside of it. And that pushes all of these riders up one position, of course. Oh, Seebold, big off, and takes Frank Jackson with him. Big crash right there. Jackson and Seebold coming together, and riders having to scatter to avoid it. Looks like Jackson will get going first. Seebold was flipping through the screen, and Frank Jackson ultimately had nowhere to go. Just got literally slapped in the side of the face by a flipping Jeremy Seebold Panini Motorsports number 18 machine. So that is Padani now in front of Cochran. This is a battle for 6 between these two. Very close in this entire group, as we have now under 7 minutes left to go. We'll peek back out front and see if anything's changed. It is not. It is still Logan Leitzel leading this race. And the track is getting rougher and rougher. Shirley second, Print third. That's a battle that's starting to tighten up a little bit more. And Matherly is definitely a lot closer to them as well. So we still definitely have something in the cards here for these podium spots. Cooper Hunt all by himself in 5th. And then, as mentioned, back to this battle for 6th. We'll stick with Casey Cochran, who's running in 7th here, and take a look at how much the track has changed. You can see a lot more of those braking bumps on entry and how much bigger they are. And some of these ruts are starting to get worn in a little bit as well. This one right here, pretty choppy through the main line. And this is that tricky spot right here. You want to pop that triple, get that front tire down, and then if you can, quad over the top, which both riders seem to do. Not perfectly, but enough so to keep the momentum flowing. This guy's just hopping through those rollers so easily. It's like one fluid motion for them both. So Cochran not letting the 180 of Padani get too far away, but not quite staying close enough just yet to think about repassing him. Well, now he's going to have the chance because Padani landed on the outside hay bale, and Cochran shoots through into 6th place. Let's see if Padani can respond. Like this right here, far inside. Just trying to avoid all that real tough braking bumps coming in from the outside that everybody's been taking, and Padani is really searching around here. He's trying some different lines. I like it. Gonna end up on the inside right here. Let's see if he can still make this rut. It's definitely real choppy through there. Ends up alongside Cochran. Cochran and Padani. Close fight here for 6th, but Cochran stabilizes the position for the time being. Oh, now Padani lays the front end over a rut, and that is about as lucky as you're going to get in that situation. That was almost certainly going to be a legs-off crash, but just kind of pirouetted, landed back on both wheels, and lost a couple positions, but you'll take that every day of the week instead of laying on the ground and losing 8 of them. Now back to this battle between Seebold and Frank Jackson. Another one that's remaining close and contestive. Again, another Panini sandwich, but this time, instead of Seth Carr and Frank Jackson, it is Johnny Padani and Frank Jackson. Seth Carr just up the road of these guys, and another Panini rider, that is, I believe, Luke Sullivan on the 11, it is, who is closing in the background. So this is a good fight through this little, like, kind of midfield battle here. Pretty long gone at the front is Logan Leitzel still in this race. We'll get back to that battle for the podium spot shortly, but these guys really going at it here for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. All still in a bit of a freight train deep into this race. Oh, front door. Frank Jackson lands heavy. Nice job of saving it. Going to lose a few positions. Ends up in front of Sullivan. But behind now of his teammate Johnny Padani, and Seebold also went by. And now Panini is sandwiching the 2 Underground RC Phil's riders. But then Padani shoots back by Seebold. Seebold's going to try to fight back on the inside. Nothing doing there. Jackson now going to have a great drive up the hill. His inside move for the 32 is not quite close enough as Seabolt funnels back in behind. The 180 of Padani dropping off at the top of the hill here. Oh, and that is Padani going down. That's going to cost him several positions as we see Jackson now trying to go to the outside here of Seabolt, but he leaves the door wide open for Sullivan, and we had another rider down. That was Cochran again who went down. Outside move, Frank Jackson to the inside of Seabolt. Still hasn't got it done, and now Sullivan's trying to the outside, and he will make the pass on Frank Jackson. My goodness gracious. The passing among this group as Sullivan now moves his way forward. Great action, though. Back and forth in the midfield here of 250 Moto 1 from Thunder Valley. So let's peek back out front. Know that I saw Nathan Prynne had moved into second place, so we didn't quite see when or where that pass happened, but Shirley has now drifted back to third, and Cade Matherly is catching him. How about Cade Matherly trying to get a podium here? That would be huge. YouTube Nation unite. We all know that you fine folks here on YouTube are tuning in to watch your boys Cade Matherly and Connor Linz when he does race, trying to lay it down. And Matherly has shown up here in Thunder Valley ready to play for podiums as he is all over Seth Shirley for this third position. Shirley now has to go defensive all the while trying to work through lap traffic. Nice whip up the hill. Lap rider down in the middle right there. Was Matherly able to get through? He was. Matherly off the side of the track right there. A little bit of ground lost, but still can certainly see the 23 machine just ahead of him and has his target firmly fixated. You can see just how rough it is coming down that downhill, though. These guys are really starting to struggle late in this moto. The fortunate thing is the track will reset between motos as it does every time. The track will not stay the same when you restart the server, which needs to happen to load in a new set of riders each time. So in this case, we're seeing the track at just about its worst as time has now expired, and Logan Leitzel coming to the flag this time by. We'll see the 2-lap board displayed. 30 minutes have come and gone. 2 laps remain here at Thunder Valley. Logan Leitzel on his way to his 4th moto win of the season from 5 motos this year, as Prynne just got real sideways in second place. No harm, no foul, though. Continues on cruising. Back to the battle for 5th. Cooper Hunt has it. Someone's back flipping, or I should say front flipping behind him. Seth Carr is going to scoot through. So Hunt versus Carr, that's the battle on your screen right there. Wait a minute. Seth Carr just got absolutely plowed from behind. I'm going to go shame whoever that was, because that is atrocious. So congrats, Jeff Giffen on TV getting caught out in 4K here, being an awful lapped rider and continuing to do so as he gets punted to the side of the track. What's weird is he's riding a Panini bike and also just got in the way of a Panini rider. So not sure what Jeff Giffen's doing right now, but losing a lot of credibility at the moment. Oh, that was Matherly just gone down. So the fight for 3rd has now expanded out, and it looks like it's Seth Shirley's for the taking here with a lap and a half to go. As now Seabolt is the next man up after we lost Seth Carr. Luke Sullivan also right there as well. And Cooper Hunt just went down out of 5th. So Hunt goes from 5th to 9th by the looks of it, as Seth Carr, Frank Jackson, Luke Sullivan, and Seabolt all go by. So even late in the race, when you feel like you've got such a good moto complete, Seabolt and Sullivan now going to line up and do a bit of a battle. Ooh, rider flipping hard off the side of the track. That's a lapped rider, though. So what is going to happen amongst all these guys back here? Are we going to see some more battling, or are they finally settled back down? 27-second lead for Logan Leitzel as he checks in out front and picks up the white flag. Rider down right there. That's Seth Carr. So his teammate goes by. Cooper Hunt also goes through. And the 40 of Bordeaux just got there. But he gets hit, and then Padani repasses Bordeaux. So Bordeaux, who we had said really needs to make big amends, has now found his way to the top 10. Padani moves to 9th. Here is Cooper Hunt versus Frank Jackson for 7th. Oh, man, that front end somehow didn't knife harder for Cooper Hunt right there. Oh, man, this is such a close fight. It looks like something's going on up ahead of these guys, too. Oh, Luke Sullivan has some lap traffic behind him. But there's certainly chaos afoot as Frank Jackson almost gets hit by Jack Gatland, who's now gone a lap down. Inside move almost there for Cooper Hunt. Certainly thought about it. And Frank Jackson stays the course. Oh, that scrub there. And then coming up right here to the top of the hill, Cooper Hunt got so close. Gatland splitting the difference between them now, unlapping himself as a lapped rider right in the midst of a battle that he is not in. So as mentioned, the white flag is waving on. Prin just went down again. Matherly is closed up. Seth Shirley is all by himself now in second place. And Prin just had to go back and clip timing gates. So he went off the track to rejoin the track, make sure he got the timing gates. He's gone from 2nd to 4th in an instant. And that's going to be huge championship-wise because Shirley nor Cade Matherly are really close to Logan Leitzel. Prin was the one who was 29 points down. Now he is losing 7 more points as it runs. Matherly on the door for a podium finish. Seth Shirley now going to pick up a 2nd place finish. Logan Leitzel, though, takes the win here in Moto 1 of the 250 class at Thunder Valley. 4 for 5 to start the season for the 16. And you want to talk about winning by just dominating this moto. I mean, he didn't start up front, but passed everybody that he needed to and took off. Pretty impressive stuff. So Shirley in 2nd, Matherly 3rd, Prin 4th, Seabolt 5th, Sullivan in 6th, Jackson 7th, Padani 8th. Cooper Hunt is down in 9th. Bordeaux just went through. So these guys are all pretty well set now for their top 10 positions, as Seth Shirley is going to come across the line and pick up 2nd place. So nice ride there for Seth Shirley. And there to take advantage of it when things went real sideways for Nathan Prin. Cade Matherly taking it easy at the top of the hill. He's going to come through this final corner and pick up a podium finish for Cade Matherly. He looks stoked with that. Been really up and down so far this year too, has Cade Matherly. And Nathan Prin slips back to 4th, going to lose 7 points. The teammate fight coming to the line. Sullivan is right there on Seabolt, but is just going to miss out by 8/10 in the end. Seabolt rounds out your top 5. Sullivan 6th. Frank Jackson, barring some late disaster here, is going to get 7th. Getting unlapped right there in the end. Johnny Padani. Solid effort for the Hungarian rider. Going to come across in 8th. Johan Bordeaux, from wherever the heck he was early on in this thing, will end up in 9th. It's outside of the points when we saw him at halfway. And Seth Carr, final runner inside the top 10. So Adams 11th, Tharp 12th, Hunt all the way back to 13th. He's going to be well disappointed with that. Tyler Sylvia, a good run here in 14th as he comes to the line smooth sailing. Casey Cochran, whoa, that was the 47 was the Boots House ride of Nygren barrel rolling, but it was a lap down for him. Cochran's going to get 15th When all is said and done, Hayden Stevenson gonna get 16th here, 17th for Sean Hambrook. And Tanner Rogers will be the last rider on the lead lap in 18th. Carson West, 19th, and Brett Powers, the last rider to pick up points in this one, in 20th. So we're waiting for one more rider to finish up here. And then we will have our penalties applied, and we can tell you guys the official finishing order of this race. There we go. And it looks like absolutely nothing changed as your three podium finishers here in the first moto line up akin. Logan Leitzel, the winner, the 23 of Seth Shirley, second, and Cade Matherly gets third. Alrighty, folks, so quite a race to kick off the night here. And sets us up well to head into 450 Moto 1 coming up next. This is the big dogs, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Alexis Leclerc, Tyler Lang, your championship leader, Payson Johnson, Braden Carter, Bryce Whelan. Just to name a few, this has been a terrific season in the 450 class through 2 rounds. But so far, Payson Johnson has made them all look a little bit silly with 3 moto wins and a second place in the first 4 motos of the year. So can he keep the trend rolling, or will someone else come up and stop the Payson Johnson dominance? We will have to wait and see what happens. As for now, though, just getting ready to drop the gate on that first 450 moto here at Thunder Valley. All right. Looks like we're just about ready, getting loaded back into the server. This game is rather computer intensive, so even though I've got a pretty decent computer, still does take a little bit of time to load everything and get the skins and the models and the whole track to load again and everything like that. Just takes a little bit of time. But that's pretty common for a lot of these kind of simulated games because there's just so much detail to load, and it's ever changing. It's not all packaged into one finite thing like you would see on a console racing game, for example. So just waiting here to load back in. And we will be dropping the gate on 450 Moto number 1. 30 minutes plus 2 laps. Top 20 riders score points towards the championship. And then we will re-rack them again on the other side of this moto for 250 Moto 2 and 450 Moto 2. And have ourselves an overall winner at the end of the night. There we go. Just taking a little bit of time. Alrighty, folks, let's give you guys a running order and a lineup for who is all going to the gate here in 450 Moto number 1. Alrighty, so we have got Nico Marchini, Devin Davis, Pablo Vial, Tyler Lang, Caleb Hall, Braden Carter, Reed McYoung, Payson Johnson, Sam Goffam, Dylan Cavacuti, Alex Kerr, Brandon Larson, Colby Eagland, Chase Blakely, Chris Post, Dylan Smith, Caden Speck, Bob Joe, Roy Mitchell, Daniel Mills, Caden Gross, Jack Mark, Adam Holm, Matthias Janis, Braden Castellaneta, Kevin Frazaka, J.R. Reyes, Jacob Hubbard, Ashton Rakowski, Jack Fowler, Jack Haley, Dakota French, Robert Wilson, Bryce Whelan, Julian Ori, Blake O'Brien, Reno Brennan, and Alexis Leclerc. So these guys are all ready and set to go here. In just a few moments, they'll line back up on the gate. This is essentially just a parade lap as Alexis Leclerc jumps onto Reno Brennan's back right there. That right there was definitely something that if you did it right, you could crash someone's game. The same thing right there as Leclerc does a sick tire tap 360 little front side salad right there off of Bryce Whelan, who was laying on the ground. Oh my gosh. Are guys really going to be doing that in the race? That is ridiculous if they do that. Freaking kidding me, these aliens. All right, here we go. 450 Moto 1 ready to drop the gate here at Thunder Valley. Round 3 of the 2022 AMA Esport Motocross Championship. Alrighty, who is going to get that all-important hole shot? Braden Carter down the inside. Will it be Adam Holm, Chris Post, maybe Matthias Janis? Here we go from Thunder Valley. Well, it's not going to be Janis, but it's somebody from the inside. It's Carter on the 9. Braden Carter, your Supercross champion, picks up the Studio 8 hole shot award. It's the 24 of Eagland in second. Johnson on the 51, funneling into third alongside Adam Holm on the 17 as they all scrub up the hill on the first lap of the race. Carter with some great drive to the top of the hill just holds Eagland at bay, who is coming in around the outside. And then Johnson now settling into third place. It looks like just edged Adam Holm down at the bottom of the hill. Now side by side with Eagland as Johnson shoots by into second. The 51 of Payson Johnson on another planet right now, it seems. Cases that jump a little bit coming into the corner. Now hard on the brakes down to the far inside. And already putting the pressure on the 9 of Braden Carter for the race lead. So where is the other heavy hitters like Tyler Lang, Alexis Leclerc? Bryce Whelan's been strong to start the year. Where are all these guys? Looks like Whelan is in 38th place, so a tough start for the 45. As jumping over top, Johnson does get the plateau onto the table and takes over the race lead just like that. Huge launch for Johnson into the race lead. And is it goodbye time? Is he going to lead every single lap of this? Well, Braden Carter just went down, so Eagland's going to shoot by. There goes, I think that was Janis maybe going through, a couple other riders funneling in. Still have not seen the 7 of Leclerc or the 1 of Lang, as Johnson now has a large gap already at the front of the field. And everybody from behind is just going to have to try to watch. It was Frazaka, excuse me, on the 74. I thought it was maybe the 14. As Frazaka that went through, and then Eagland still in the second. But Johnson, unreal, jumping up onto the table there on the first lap, or the triple jump, I should say. And then just has the wherewithal to even scrub the quad right there. I don't know, man. Gonna be tough to beat this year. Just like we see in the 250 class. We might have a couple of pretty snooze-fest championships this year if these guys are gonna look this strong at every single race we go to. Johnson already has a 4-second advantage there on Colby Eagland. And Verzaka now settling into third. Bob Joe in fourth. Reed McYoung, J.R. Reyes, Kyle Carpenter, Caden Gross, Braden Carter, Nico Marchini, Dylan Smith. There is your defending champion, Tyler Lang. So even though Carter went down with the race lead, he did not even get passed by Lang. It must have also been involved in some sort of first turn or first lap chaos. So Lang, end of lap 1, finds himself in 12th. Let's go back. Cavacuti, Holm, Blakely, Hall, Fowler, Mills, Janis, Rakovsky, Davis, and then Leclerc. Leclerc outside of the points right now. Trying to get around Devin Davis. Side by side to the top of the hill. Push him a little wide. Got to fight for every position out here, and Davis is not about to let Leclerc have it easy. As Caden Speck also slots through after Davis ran Leclerc a little bit wide right there. But hey, you're fighting for position. That's what you have to do. Can't expect the whole field to let you just go on by. As simple as that. 6.2 second lead already for Payson Johnson out front, and we have got to find ourselves a bit of a battle here because things are opening up quickly. Kyle Carpenter on the back tire of Braden Carter coming down the hill. And he's going to slide out and nearly collect Nico Marchini, who was trying to go by right there. Then Lang also went by, and then Carpenter got plowed into by Dylan Smith. So tough sequence there for K-Carp, as he is now losing several positions laying on the ground. Cavacuti, Holm, Blakely. Good little freight train right here, but they are all much further down the order than I think they would hope to be. Look at this, Holm to the inside of Cavacuti. Got him. Nice line. If you can bust that quad over that little wall jump, I should say, and land on the inside ruts, you are golden. That is so much time gained every single lap if you do that. Rider down on the inside right there. That was Bob Joe. Picking himself up from a crash, falls in now behind Dylan Smith and Reed McYoung. Marchini now behind Lang, so Lang must have went down because he's lost some positions. Or no, actually, excuse me, we pushed all the way up to 6. I didn't realize how far these guys were already. So 7.7 second lead for Johnson as Eagland has gone down. Yeah, Eagland is down, so Verzaka takes over second place. Eagland gonna get going just before Braden Carter gets there. Then this Reyes, Lang, Marchini battle coming down the hill behind them. So this is the good news for Lang, is that he's worked through the field pretty well so far. Already knocking on the door of a top 5, and we're just at the 6-minute mark now. J.R. Reyes just went down, and there you go, Lang into 5th. So that's the good news. The bad news is he needs to claw some points away from Payson Johnson, and he is pretty much gone already at the front of the field 6 minutes into this. So just got to do another moto of damage limitation for the 1 if possible. Try to get himself all the way up to second place. And who knows, maybe something crazy happens. Maybe Johnson crashes a few times. And speaking of crashing, got another rider down on top of the jump right there. That was Eagland again off the bike. And this time he will indeed lose several more positions as Marchini went by. Tyler Lang went through. Lang trying to close up on fellow teammate there, Braden Carter. Verzaka, second place, and suddenly all over Payson Johnson. I wonder if the 51 went down. Must have. Verzaka ran a 15.8 though, and then a 23.5 out of Johnson. That's still pretty good stuff out of Kevin Verzaka. Motocross Outlet number 74 ride. Riding really strong here in the first segment of this 450 moto. It's been pretty good so far this year. He's been one of the more shocking, I think, rides that we've seen in the 450 class so far. But this is another level so far. Being up there in second place, running really competitive lap times. And gosh, he's got 14 seconds back to Lang, but it is Lang now up to third, so that is positive news for the one machine. Got around his teammate Carter. Marchini, Eagland, then Holm. So Eagland, even though he's crashed a couple times, still looks like he does have the pace to be right in this mix, and he is eyeing up an opportunity to go back after Luca Marchini ahead of him. Meanwhile, Adam Holm putting the pressure on from behind. Oof, Eagland off the side. And Adam Holm takes advantage. So I think what we're seeing a little bit here with Eagland is just a lack of flow. He's got the speed and the pace in hand, but as soon as you have one mistake like a crash like he had, takes you out of your groove and you start overthinking the track a little bit and not naturally reacting to stuff, and everything just gets a little bit off. You're just not arcing your corners like you used to. You're not scrubbing the jumps the way that feels comfortable. All of those things, and before you know it, you're just losing several positions because you keep making little minor mistakes here and there. Seems like what's potentially happening right now with Colby Eagland as he tries to reel Adam Holm back in for a little battle. Eagland trying to take a little cheeky inside to inside line. I don't know if I've seen really anybody try that line, but kind of worked. Because he messed up the line and didn't even lose time to Adam Holm. I couldn't see out of the corner of my eye whether Adam Holm had a mistake as well, but that's pretty cool to see two very different lines eventually culminate in basically the same speed. As, Eagland runs it a little bit high into the corner right there, loses some time. So Reed McYoung, Dylan Smith, Caleb Hall, Bob Joe. Carpenter is down, as is Devin Davis. Matthias Janis, John Heilman went by. Blakely. Davis gets going back here. Kyle Carpenter, J.R. Reyes, Jacob Hubbard. And Leclerc is down before the finish line jump and loses, my goodness, 7-8 spots laying there. Goes back to 26th. 32-2 last time by, and he's down again. He clips the rear tire of one of the JDR riders. Not a good look right now for the Frenchman who entered this round second in the championship. He's fallen apart a little bit. Gonna slip all the way back to 28th. And he has now been passed by Bryce Whelan, who is in just about dead last early in this one. So Leclerc is not having a good time right now at Thunder Valley. Ooh, and he is pushing the pace too. That's the last thing you want to do when you're way back here. For any of you younger players out there trying to learn the ropes of MX Simulator and get comfortable with the game, when you are at the back of the pack and you're in 30th or 40th and you have the speed to get to the front of the pack, do not rush anything. You will get there. You got to take your time. You got to make your, calm, collected, methodical passes, because if you start riding like we're seeing Leclerc here, which is go, go, go as fast as you can, as hard into each corner as possible and all that, you're just going to crash and keep crashing and get caught up in mistakes like that. So, again, Leclerc made a couple passes. Oh, rough moto right here for the 7. Now he is going to fall back to 30-something, 33rd. Bad to worse. Well, we'll check back in here in a little while and see if Leclerc's made any more progress, but we're going to go back to the front right now and see what's going on as Payson Johnson continues to hold a comfortable advantage on the rest of the field. And through 5 motos this year, it has been all the Logan Leitzel and Payson Johnson show in AMA Esport Motocross Racing. Between the two of them, they now combined for 7 moto wins between the first 9 motos of the year. And they might be on their way for 8 out of 10. And goodness gracious, are we going to get to Redbud or Southwick? And these guys already have a nearly insurmountable advantage in the championship, because it's starting to look that way. Kudos to Tyler Lang, though, right here, who's doing pretty much everything in his power, I guess, to limit the damage, as he's yet again in second place like he was last week, just putting in 15s, 215.4, 215 flat, a 215.1 out of Johnson last time by. But the interesting thing you got to keep an eye on here is the gap is only at 15.9 seconds, and it seems as though it's stabilized a little bit. So these guys are kind of matching each other's pace. And why that's critical is because if Johnson were to have another fall right now, that gap goes down to about 5 seconds, 5-6 seconds instead of 15. And then you just need another mistake or two out of Johnson, and we have a battle for the lead. So it sounds far-fetched when you see a 15-second lead. You think, oh man, the guy is gone. There's just no chance you're going to catch him. But this is MX Simulator, and people crash. That's just how the game works. So this is far from the end of the race at this point, as we are not even halfway through. And there's still definitely potential for some interesting shenanigans to go on for the race lead, as Lang now lays down a 14.4. He just pulled back a full second right there that time by. Now again, there are not 15 laps left in this race. He's not going to gain a second a lap and close that gap down, but it's just chip away a little bit here and there. At least keep it as close as you possibly can, and just hope against hope that Johnson starts making too many mistakes, especially on a track like this where Johnson, he kind of thrives on, I don't want to say being loose, but just fast. Just being really fast, you know, like kind of pushing, I guess, the pace a little bit. And this track is a little bit slower speed, and on top of that, it got real nasty in that first 250 moto. So if it starts breaking down quite a bit again in this 450 moto, and Johnson has to kind of adjust his riding style to that, we very well could see some crashing, or at the very least, slower pace out of the 51 machine that could allow Lang kind of back into the picture. So some storylines to follow here. Meanwhile, another good storyline right here. Braden Carter knocking on the door for a podium finish in this moto. And as mentioned coming into the broadcast, Carter's not been too thrilled on his start to the championship thus far, as he, of course, just wrapped up his second consecutive Moto Option Supercross crown just a month and a half ago now. But he has wanted to get better at outdoors. He has wanted to be a consistent and competitive threat in the Motocross Championship and MX Simulator here. But it has just not really come fully together just yet. He's had some great starts. He's had some good laps. But that's about it for Carter. Other than that, it's been kind of all downhill in every single moto this year. So to start off with a podium here would be obviously a big step in the right direction for the number 9 machine. Kevin Verzaka, again, still my surprise of the year. Motocross Outlet number 74, a comfortable 4th, matching the pace of the leaders pretty well. And wouldn't that be something if we see Verzaka on the box either today or sometime this season? One of the good guys in the game for sure. Nico Marchini, though, rounds out our top 5 in a battle with Adam Holm. Adam Holm, a former world motocross champion in this game, and Marchini, I believe, coming out of Italy to compete here in the North American AMA Esport Motocross Championship. So pretty cool little scene here as, oh, Holm gets together with Marchini. He's going to go down. I don't know how Marchini was relatively unfazed by that, but yeah, Holm is on the backside of this jump right here. He's going to sneak around the side, remain in 6th, but that battle is now long gone. Reed McYoung in 7th. Bob Joe running in 8th. Chase Blakely in 9th. And Dylan Smith rounds out the top 10. Caleb Hall is in 11th, but he's going to jump over Dylan Smith, almost take 10th away, and will take 10th away. Pretty close fight right there. Devin Davis for Yogi is in 12th. Kyle Carpenter 13th. Matthias Janis 14th. J.R. Reyes crosses line here. He's in 15th. Castellaneta 16th. Bryce Whelan 17th. Reno Brendan 18th. Jacob Hubbard 19th. And John Heilman, who is somewhere. Oh, he's actually further up the field between Kyle Carpenter and a few other guys. So actually, looks like Reno Brennan is rounding out the final points bank position right now. And good job right here by Bryce Whelan. He's continuing to try to march forward. He's up to teammate Braden Castellaneta for 17th and might make a quick pass here. Whelan coming off of the 250 East Supercross Championship just a month and a half ago as well. So he is riding a bit of a high at the moment, jumping back into the 450 class. And so far has been pretty solid to start the year. Not necessarily as maybe electric as he would probably hope to be, but consistent, good finishes, running up front quite a bit. And started this one, we saw him down in 38th spot at one point. So he has clawed 21 positions back and is now into the points. He's picking up 4 points right now in 17th and still has 12 minutes and a couple laps to continue to fight for some more points here tonight. So good recovery by Whelan so far. We'll see how far he gets up. Want to peek back one more time as Caden Speck goes flipping off the track and see if Leclerc is figuring anything out right now, because he's 30th. Still has not dipped below the 220s. And just really a terrible, terrible first moto here for Leclerc, which is just so odd. You just don't really ever see this out of Leclerc. For as experienced as he is and as established as he is in this game, he can weave through the field like not many other people can. And not only is he not doing it, but he's being uncharacteristically aggressive about it too, which is a bit strange. And not saying aggressive in that he's putting people on the ground or anything like that. It's just weird to see him riding as hard as he is. But maybe a little bit desperate at this point. He's got a chance to get into the points. He's got 26th, 25th, 24th, 23rd, 22nd, 21st, all just in a line ahead of him by about 10 seconds. But then he has to go and catch 20th, who is probably about 15, 16 seconds ahead of him still, and he's got 10 minutes and 2 laps to go. Just so odd to see the way that this whole thing is shaking out in this moto for Leclerc. All right, back to Johnson. Looks like Lang has maybe reeled that gap in just a little bit more. 11.7 with just over 10 minutes left to go. So Johnson might have been balked by a couple lapped riders. Not sure what happened. 26.6 versus a 21.5 out of Lang last time by. So that seems to me like there was a crash out of Johnson and a fall or and a slide out or something of the sort for Lang to explain that marquee difference in pace right there between those two, because not only is it a noticeable difference in lap times, but it's also much further off of their best lap times than is normal. So not sure what it was that led into that, but hey, suddenly we have a interesting proposition here where if Johnson were to go down, Lang could take the lead. So it is close, and as much as we've been giving Johnson props for how good he's looked, it's still close enough. Not anymore right there, as Lang's going to lay it over. He's going to drop to about 16 seconds down or so. Yeah, 16, maybe 17 now, as he had to launch off of that wall jump right there. So 16.7. So kind of back to exactly where we were again. But still close. Anything could happen. And Kevin Forsaka right there in third as well. Terrific ride for him. Carter has now slipped back to fourth, but he's still ahead of Adam Holm and Nico Marchini, who still are battling it out for the top 5. Great fight between these two. And just good to see Adam Holm back and looking at least a little bit like his familiar self. Of course, 5-6 years ago, we more or less expected Holm to be a title contender in this series, but he's now retired kind of twice from racing in this game and come back. And yeah, just good to see him at the front, being competitive. Certainly one of the more decorated competitive riders in the outdoor championship in this game. Marchini having a great drive up the inside right here, landing in all that choppy stuff on the inside. Just loses him enough time to not quite make that pass, but he's right there. Oh, and now Holm lays it down, so Marchini pulls alongside, but not quite enough just yet to get that pass done. The gap kind of stabilizes in Holmes' favor a little bit. Reed McYoung, here's Bob Joe with Chase Blakely right behind him. There's a good little battle here for, I believe this is 8th spot. Blakely down the inside, just gonna end up making a pretty simply easy pass there on Bob Joe. Just better line selection really is what it boiled down to. And the 21 gets around the 91, but Bob Joe's not done, trying to fight back. Blakely shuts the door, and it appears like he will have that pass completed. Every time I say that, it seems like the door slides back open just again a little bit. But now maybe we finally found a bit of a settling point between these two. Bob Joe getting kicked wildly coming down that hill, but corrals it back together. Oh, Carter versus Holmes. So Carter slipped all the way back to the clutches of Adam Holm, who now moves into 4th, and their fight is on. They tail each other up the hill. Got another rider down. It is a lapped rider. Just didn't quite see a number there, so apologies. Didn't quite get the number of who that lapped rider was, but Adam Holm versus Braden Carter for 4th is still raging on here. Holm a little kick sideways coming down. Carter hard on the brakes to the outside. He likes that line right there. Gets a good slingshot. Gonna turn it into the outside here at the top of the hill. Can he get the drive? Just not close enough, and Holm goes to defend. Just where is the opportunity going to maybe present itself, though, for Carter? Look at this. Outside again, but Holm able to hop from that inside rut and fend. I like Carter not following, though. He is trying pretty much any line he can think of that's different. Just unwilling to let Holm kind of control this battle a little bit. Let's see, can Carter try a different line here? Just going to funnel to that same line. They're going to hook that far inside rut. Now this section's very tricky. You got to get hard on the brakes, and Carter kind of hops perfectly into the ruts right there. Nicely done. So close between these two, but it's just nothing is given. Adam Holm is holding strong like he's a brick house and not wavering whatsoever to your 2-time Moto Option Supercross champion. That triple quad over the top of the hill done with ease. Still 15 seconds between Johnson and Lang out front for Zaka. Pretty close to Lang still. That could get good. And then this epic battle going on for 4th. 18.9, 18.2. Pretty close. Oh, maybe a touch more pace. Oh, my goodness. Carter almost scrubs into the back of the 17. Literally saw all the sponsors on Holmes' rear fender as he was scrubbing up behind him right there. Then bouncing all the way down the hill through that rough chop. Carter to the outside. Again, he's trying these different lines, but I don't think he's quite figured out a spot or a sequence of lines that really works out enough to make the pass. So far, it's maybe just follow the leader a little bit, just kind of funnel in and match his lines, and then hope he makes a little bobble or something. And just out-drag him to the next corner, because these alternate lines so far are not working. But kudos to him. He's not giving up. Continuing to try all those lines, and Holm just stays with the defensive lines, and that's working as well. It's 2 different versions of racecraft, culminating in one pretty equal pace between the 2 of them. And definitely unique to watch as it unfolds. Oh, that's going to be Carter down, though. Rear end kicked out and instant legs off the second he hits the ground. So he will not lose this spot to Marchini, but he's going to lose a lot of ground in the process. How about Reed McYoung, Team T 377, which I think is Tegrity, and I think this is the same person that went by Reed Young forever, so maybe his real name is McYoung and just went by Reed Young because it was easier, but either way, pretty solid effort to be right in the mix here inside the top 10, giving Chase Blakely some fits. As we close into the final 2 minutes now of this moto, plus those 2 laps at the end, it is pretty much all stabilized at the front. Pace and Johnson in a little bit of a different world right now, but not so much so that we thought. I feel like if Lang started with him, we would have definitely seen a very different moto. Because the pace that Johnson's putting down, the pace that Lang has been seemingly able to match against him, as Verzaka's now going after Lang for second. Oh, close, but not quite close enough. I guess Lang must have just went down on that downhill because I saw the gap starting to extend. Oh, as Verzaka clips Lang's rear tire and explodes the second he lands right there. You hate to see it because he definitely had a legit shot at second place right there, but it all comes to tears. And he will now settle back into a pace for third place and hope that Adam Holm doesn't catch him. That's still pretty close right there. Lang now has some breathing room, and Johnson has a lot of breathing room. I'm going to stick with Johnson here for a little bit longer because I want to see. I think he might still get another lap. Yeah, it'll be close, but I'm pretty sure he will. It's 30 seconds left on the clock right now, which I know it says 35 or whatever for you guys, but just a little bit off versus the in-server timer. So 20 seconds left on the clock. I mean, he doesn't have enough time to wait. I mean, I guess he does if he wanted to, but he's not going to. So 15 seconds left on the clock. 13 seconds remained when he checked in that time by. So definitely a faster moto than the 250 class, which crossed the line about 10 seconds after time expired. So they're going about 23 seconds in TRT time faster than the 250 guys. And on top of that, they're going to get an extra lap. So they're going to do... they're on lap 14 right now. They'll do 16 laps, where the 250 guys did 15 laps. And just interesting kind of dynamic tidbit, whatever you want to call it, between the two classes. Shows the difference in pace between our two championship leaders, more or less. Well, this has been brewing for a little while as well. Blakely on Luca Marchini. That has been a slow grind for Blakely to close up, and now Marchini lays it down. So easy done in the end, as Blakely's just going to scoot right on by Marchini into, I believe, 7th place. No, 6th, excuse me. Marchini back to 7th. And McYoung 8th, Heilman 9th, and Bryce Whelan right behind him in 10th. So Whelan definitely going to get the hard charger award this moto. He is almost past 30 riders in this one, as he is finally into the top 10 31 minutes into this moto after being 38th on the first lap of the race. It's pretty tough to do, I'll tell you, folks. That is no easy task. Castellaneta, Bob Joe, Hall, Carpenter, Davis, Janis, Brennan, Smith, Vial, and Leclerc is into the points as well. He is now 20th. So it's been a complete disaster of a moto for Leclerc. But the silver lining is there is at least a little bit of damage limitation now, because he's actually made it back into the points. There is a real chance there for a while he wasn't going to get any points this moto. So to even get to where he is now has been quite the uphill climb for the 7 machine. And he's just putting down 15s. Nothing real wild or special. Did a 34-1 last time by, so must have been a little bit higher and lost a few positions. The critical juncture for Leclerc here is whether or not he will be lapped. He is about 7 seconds ahead of Payson Johnson, who's just coming out of the start straight right now. And there's 2 laps to go. If Leclerc goes down, he will definitely be lapped. So for Leclerc, it is do not fall off the bike and try to make some passes here. Get yourself, at the moment, 3 laps to go. But it could be 2 if he gets lapped here late in this one as he's swapping down the hill. He's off the bike. And that's going to be it right there. He will be lapped by Payson Johnson just about... No, maybe not quite. I thought it was a little bit closer, but it is... Johnson's now going to be right behind him as they come up this hill. So there's Leclerc. And there is your race leader, Johnson. So that definitely is going to be Leclerc getting lapped. Any more mistakes. Lap traffic going down, or was that was not for position? That was just lap traffic that Leclerc is navigating through. Close little battle here. Caleb Hall, Kyle Carpenter, Bob Joe, all nose to tail. This, I believe, is for 10th. That's 12th. Every little point counts. Even though you may not think that some of these guys, it's really worth it to just fight for 10th or 9th or whatever in the championship, every little position means something to somebody, and this 12th could be huge for Hall if he holds these guys off. Maybe if he could go up and find Bryce Whelan ahead of him for 11th as Whelan and Castellaneta running into each other again. So these two have been nose to tail for quite a while. Whelan just crashed back to him, I think, actually, but aside from that, I mean, Castellaneta and Whelan were together 7 laps ago, and they still are together here on lap 15 of this race. Can Whelan get this inside line to work to repass his teammate? Yes, he can. Wow. That just shows the difference right there in being able to get to that inside, because you're missing all the braking bumps. So much better to be on the brakes hard like that on flat ground than, of course, bouncing through the bumps, because every time your wheels are off the ground, you're actually not braking. You're just floating, right? You're just floating at the same speed you were, and then you hit the ground and brake a little bit again, and hit the ground and brake a little bit again. It's really minute because you're just barely going off the ground each time, but that could be time that you're on the ground braking, like Whelan was right there coming down the inside, and in the end, a very nice move. Reed McYoung has John Heilman right behind him, so yet another good fight. Everybody seems to have someone to battle with, a little bit of a dancing partner here late in this one. As Holm has actually gotten around for Zaka for 3rd, so for Zaka was in 3rd forever and is now not going to reap the benefits of a podium finish in this one. At least as it stands, he still has an outside shot 18 seconds down of Holm really throwing this thing away. But unless something really goes awry for this man, Payson Johnson is not about to throw away his 4th moto victory of the season, his 3rd in a row. And yeah, on his way to pretty much dominating this one like Logan Leitzel did as he front flips the triple in the back here. He will lead every single lap of this race officially, although not sure what he just did right there. That was a bit peculiar. I don't know if he tabbed out or what happened, but just stood up and coasted down the hill in 1st gear. Little scrub there, jump up into the corner, carry some speed. Down past the mechanics area one more time, and just a few turns remain for yet another moto victory, setting himself up for possibly another overall victory. It'd be the 3rd straight overall win for him this year as well if he could get it done. And this is just in-freaking-credible. 450 Moto 1 at Thunder Valley goes to Payson Johnson. Credit where credit is due, though. Tyler Lang kept him honest. And I would love to see those two start together in the 2nd moto, please. Because, Lang's going to hit the pole before the finish line jumps, so it was only going to be about 16 seconds. It's going to be about 25 seconds now, it looks like, when he gets it righted. Yeah, 25.9. Pretty interesting, though, how close the pace was there by the midpoint race of the race and onward. And then Adam Holm gonna quietly bring home a very solid podium finish in this first moto. And man, could he be knocking on the door for an overall win, or at the very least a podium on the overall today as well. That'd be cool to see for Mr. Adam Holm. Kevin Verzaka, his best finish of the year thus far, and could have been a podium, so he'll be kicking himself a little bit, but man, cannot be upset about this fourth place ride for Verzaka. That's just good stuff all around. Carter gonna round out the top 5 here on the 9, and was able to hold off a charging Chase Blakely in the end as well. Luca Marchini has Braden Castellaneta right behind him in a battle for 7th. This is going to come to the flag, and Bryce Whelan is back there hoping they get together. I think that's Heilman behind Whelan as well, so this could also come to blows a little bit, but Marchini has just enough of a gap that if he gets this section clean coming up, he will not have any real threat of a last attempt pass, and looks like he got that triple quad very smoothly outside to in. Luca Marchini is going to get 7th, Castellaneta gets 8th, Whelan gets 9th, and John Heilman was indeed back there, but he lost quite a bit of time and will have to settle, in this one at least, for 10th place. So Heilman 10th, Reed McYoung 11th, Kyle Carpenter going to get 12th, Reno Brennan 13th, Caleb Hall 14th, and Devin Davis, the last rider on the lead lap, in 15th. Alexis Leclerc was able to get up to 16th, but huge implications in the championship right there, as he's only going to gain 5 points and lose 20 to Payson Johnson. Pablo Vial was 17th, Dylan Smith 18th, Daniel Mills 19th, and Jacob Hubbard rounded out our points-paying positions. Let's take a look at the penalties. Castellaneta gets Nico Marchini for 7th on cuts, and the rest of it stayed the same. Who the heck is going to stop this man right here? Payson Johnson looking real solid with 1 moto left to go here at Thunder Valley. All right, so the Moto 1s are complete. Second Moto is coming up next, as 250 Moto 2 will be first here at Thunder Valley. And we're going to find out who's going to win the overalls. Will it be yet another clean sweep? Second week in a row for Logan Leitzel. 1-1 at Hangtown. And he went 1-2 at Fox Raceway. Otherwise, he would have a perfect season going on right now. Or will somebody else step up and win this second moto? We are certainly about to find out. So as a quick reminder to everybody watching, Logan Leitzel was your winner in that first moto. Seth Shirley was second, Cade Matherly third, Nathan Prynn fourth, Jeremy Siebold in fifth, Luke Sullivan sixth, Frank Jackson seventh, Johnny Padani eighth, Johan Bordeaux was ninth, Seth Carr was 10th, Trent Adams in 11th, Braden Tharp in 12th, Cooper Hunt was 13th, Tyler Sylvia was 14th, Casey Cochran rounded out the top 15 with Hayden Stevenson in 16th, Sean Hambrook 17th, Tanner Rogers in 18th, 19th for Carson West, and Brett Powers picked up the final points-paying position in 250 Moto number 1. So what will happen in the second moto? Can Leitzel complete the sweep? Can Seth Shirley get his first career overall victory? Cade Matherly looking to land on the box at Thunder Valley as well. Nathan Prynn and Jeremy Siebold certainly have the pace to win the moto, but it comes down to that start as always. Alrighty, here we go. Loaded back in and getting ready to go for 250 Moto number 2. Lineup check. Parade lap is out there right now. We'll give you guys a rundown again of who all is lining up for this second 250 Moto from Thunder Valley. Again, apologies that my title screen is still Hangtown. I definitely changed it in my personal folder, but it's not going through to the game for some reason, so not sure what that's all about. All right, Logan Leitzel, ready to try to get that clean sweep here tonight. Alex Zellner, Jeremy Siebold, Christopher McPherson, Cade Matherly, Leith Ness, Lucas Schwartner, Brett Powers, Timmy Briscoe, Seth Carr, Colton Hansen, Jaden Wilson, Sonny Spicer, Braden Tharp, Seth Shirley, Brandon Nygren, Bodie Parker, Jeff Cooper, Evan Holt, Cooper Hunt, Jack Gatlin, Tanner Rogers, Trent Adams, Nick Niles, Frank Jackson, Tyler Sylvia, Carson West, Johan Bordeaux, Johnny Padani, Casey Cochran, Rasmus Balzer, Noah McLaughlin, and Hayden Stevenson going to the line for the final 250 Moto of the night here at Thunder Valley. Who's going to get that all-important Studio 8 Hole Shot Award and set themselves up for a fantastic moto here in Moto 2 at Thunder Valley. Riders are on the line and ready to go. Seth Carr is in the middle. Who's going to get the hole shot? Here we go from Thunder Valley. Well, it's not going to be Carr as he hits the gate. We're going to try to find up the inside who it's going to be. I see the 16 of Leitzel. I see the 12 of Prin. It's the 12, Nathan Prin, Studio 8 Hole Shot Award. Side by side with Leitzel going up the hill on the first lap as some chaos ensues behind them. Big scrub for Prin. He wants to keep this lead, but Leitzel fighting up the inside, trying to take it away, but not going to get there just yet. Back down the hill they go into this tricky off-camber, and this is certainly the fight we had hoped to see. Let's see if it settles into an actual good battle. And neither of these riders are able to, or unfortunately, would crash in the opening stages of this one, kind of ruin it, because it is right where we want to see it early on. Outside to in for Leitzel doesn't quite work on Prin just yet. We'll try to get an update on where kind of everybody else is from that first moto finishing order. Leitzel, I think, wants to get Prin quickly and open up a bit of a gap if he can, but I don't feel like Prin is going to let Leitzel have this one easy at all. If Leitzel were to go to the lead, I think Prin is fighting back very hard for this one, because these guys cannot keep letting Leitzel pull more points. He's already well over 30 points in the lead. I think Prin, lost 7 points in the first moto, so it's 36 points, the championship lead after 5 motos. And the last thing Prin wants is to see that extend out to almost 40 points. If Leitzel can come through and win this moto here. He's going to the outside, though, trying to make that line work. Then going to the outside, coming down the hill here. Cuts back to the inside. Has a nose on Prin, but Prin jumps back into the rut and holds steady. So this is so far working out just, I think, as we wanted to see. But this is going to be Leitzel's opportunity to the outside. Prin fighting back to the inside. It's close, but Leitzel takes the lead momentarily. No, Prin fights back. Scrubs the finish line jump hard. Leitzel to the inside, tries to get it back, but Prin retakes the lead. Back and forth we go here early in 250 Moto 2 at Thunder Valley. So Prin and Leitzel, just like they were 1 and 2 through the whole shot line, remain 1 and 2 at the end of the first full lap. Now they work their way all the way up the uphill from the bottom of the racetrack. Just that long drive up to the top, just constantly on the gas, leaned off the back of the bike, trying to get maximum traction and power. And Prin, once again, having to remain defensive on this. But look at this. Leitzel takes that middle rut. Prin then goes outside to try to defend from Leitzel's attempt to pass around the outside, but Leitzel went off the track a little bit anyway, so lost a little bit of ground. Now here's Leitzel trying to cut back to the inside again. Not quite there just yet. Prin holding steady, blocking the inside. Leitzel to the outside for the lead. Contact. Not quite got him just yet as Prin maintains the advantage. Terrific action here as Prin holds off the challenges and the many challenges thus far from Leitzel. But what the real story between the two of these guys is they are opening up a gap on the rest of the field with the pace they are running. Prin is having to force the pace early on here. And, I mean, just nobody's really even that close. It's already out to, looks like over 5-6 seconds maybe back to third place. Leitzel's lost a little bit of touch now with Prin. But he's going to fight it back. Look at that line, hopping that inside rut, just doubling down the hill with relative ease. And all that advantage he had lost is gained right back in his favor. It's that little perfect wheel tap and then quads over the top of the hill. I mean, Prin is riding phenomenally as well. This is two guys just going at it for this race victory. And we still have 25 minutes of this moto left to go. It's like Prin able to finally just establish a little bit of breathing room. It is still Tharp back there in third, but they do indeed have over 6 seconds on him. Cooper Hunt, Seth Shirley's in fifth, Sonny Spicer, Jeremy Seabolt, Lucas Shortner, Trent Adams, and then Hayden Stevenson rounding out our top 10. So, of course, Seth Shirley was second in that first moto. He's inside of the top 5. We're trying to look at where Cade Matherly is. He's 14th after finishing third in the first moto. And we already saw Jeremy Seabolt, Johan Bordeaux, much better start this time around, 16th for him. But he's hoping to get more inside of the top 10 than he was in the first moto after coming from way, way down the order. And the battle is once again starting to brew. 17 flat, 16-1. The 2 lap times at the front, but Leitzel with a little bit of clean air is certainly closing the gap back down. And that is all that is in it right now between our two leaders, folks. May seem like a little bit bigger gap than it really seems it is. But I'll tell you what, in MX Simulator, we just don't always get racing that is this nose to tail for this long. I mean, we're already on lap 3, about to crest onto lap 4. We've gone basically 3 whole laps with the 2 fastest riders in the 250 class right now, arguably in the world, running nose to tail. And it seems like it is far from over between them. So who has the upper hand in terms of pace right now? It does seem like Prin is hitting all of his marks very well, opening up that gap slightly, little by little. Now he's doubling out of that corner, similar to what Leitzel did. So that's another, you know, couple tenths here, couple tenths there gained. Scrubbing over the top of the hill, easy there for Prin. And this time through, he's going to run a 13.3 versus a 13.9 out of Leitzel. So they are certainly matching each other's pace, but Prin just has this slight advantage in terms of raw speed at the moment. Leitzel into the hay bales a little bit there. That again is some more time gained to the advantage of Nathan Prin. And I wonder if just a little bit here, Leitzel is just kind of content with following Prin for right now and just matching the pace. It seems like he's not as adamant in trying to get up to him to make a pass. He's more just marking him at this point and perhaps letting the mistakes come to him because they have a 10-second advantage on Tharp behind, which means either one of these guys could crash and still be in second place. Crazy how that kind of works. There is Tharp in third, though. Haven't seen much of him. Cooper Hunt behind him in fourth, with Jeremy Seabolt rounding out the top 5. That's the early look at the running orders. Seth Shirley is now back into 6th. Sullivan 7th. Spicer 8th. Schwartner 9th. And Adams 10th is all 5 or 6 of these guys going into the corner at the same time. Good little fight here. 3 different options used at the top of the hill here. Who's going to come out with the better advantage? Schwartner versus Spicer. Might get passed by Trent Adams on the 43 as well, as they are nose to tail. Look at this. Adams might get to the inside. That doesn't work. Meanwhile, Schwartner working on Sullivan. I think Sonny Spicer tipped over on the inside of that corner right there. I don't have an angle on him, but I did not see him emerge from the other side of that bush. So I think he just tucked the front end and went down. All these guys still jockeying for these early positions. I mean, it is still early in the race. Despite what we've seen from the race lead and as close as that battle's been for as long as it's been, there is still a lot of time left on the clock for things to happen. As, yeah, Shortner really pushing the pace up to Sullivan here. Remember, Sullivan was 6th in the first moto. Trent Adams with a huge toss. He got dualies over that triple in the middle. Interesting to see the different line choices here at the top of the hill. Shortner going with the kind of easier, more consistent line of not having to try to quad over the top of that hill. Adams did it, but honestly, because Shortner was so consistent with his lines beforehand, it didn't gain Adams really that much time. Seth Shirley's kind of slipped back to these guys' clutches a little bit. So Sullivan took advantage and made a pass. That pushes him up to 6th position now. As rider down, that was Tharp. Tharp out of 3rd. Just picking himself up and dropping back to 5th. So Siebel went by for 4th. Cooper Hunt is now into 3rd. As the lead has extended to 15 seconds up to Leitzel in 2nd, but he is now 6 seconds behind Nathan Prynn, who is laying it down out front. The afterburners are in full force right now for Nathan Prynn, and couldn't really say there's a more perfect time for Nathan Prynn to really kind of catch fire here. Someone had to stop the bleeding. Someone had to limit the damage that Logan Leitzel was laying forth. And thus far, at least 10 minutes into this moto, it seems like Nathan Prynn has finally answered the call. And what a time it'd be for him to win his first moto of the year. We got a change for 3rd place, though. Looks like Hunt has lost that position. Siebold has moved forward. So opportunities being taken right now by Jeremy Siebold. Cooper Hunt just going to settle in behind him in 4th place. Maybe try to see what line Siebold's taking. Maybe there's something Hunt feels is working for him, but it's not really working in terms of a race scheme. So sometimes you just find stuff that you got to change up a little bit. Remember, Tharp slipped back to 5th. Then Sullivan still 6th with Shortner right behind him in 7th and Adams right there in 8th. I mean, these guys have been going at it now for the better part of 4 or 5 laps as well. So very similar to what we saw out of the lead battle, but instead it's a battle for 8th, and Adams pirouettes a little bit, loses 3 positions. Shirley, Bordeaux, and Matherly all went by, so there is quite a few guys that are trying to at least podium today. Shirley and Matherly definitely are, and the way the overalls are stacked up right now, it's going to be really interesting to see who gets the final spot on the podium, because it's Leitzel with the overall win on a 1-2, and Prynn definitely 2nd with a 4-1. But Shirley, if he could, get into the top 5, same for Matherly, definitely secures a potential podium. You also got to keep an eye, though, that Jeremy Siebold was 5th in the first moto and currently running in 3rd place right now. So that is definitely your current podium finisher, as Siebold there on the 5-3 scores, as these guys try to battle their way in from outside of the top 10. About a 4-second, almost about down to 3 seconds behind Lucas Shortner are these guys. And then Shortner can still see Sullivan ahead of him. But the gaps have all stabilized a little bit. It was a lot closer just a lap or so ago. But pretty much the entire top 10, it seems like, has some sort of breathing room to deal with. Maybe the closest battle here still is Siebold versus Cooper Hunt for 3rd, because it's kind of stabilized at this mark as well. We'll get a lap time check, actually. 25.4 to an 18.7 So I'm going to stick with Hunt here because I want to see. I think they might just about be ready to do the same laps here. Meanwhile, 2.4 between the leaders. So that has the makings of getting a bit spicy here shortly, as Hunt's going to get sideways and lay it down. So never mind about the matching pace. That just went right out the window as Braden Tharp closes up from 5th place. And the battle for the lead starting to develop again. Not sure if it was a mistake from Prin or just a better lap. 19.5 kind of seems like a mistake, because a 15.8 wasn't hugely monumental out of Leitzel, but it's definitely a little bit better. Gap down to 3.1. Kind of stabilized there. Maybe opened up a little bit in favor of Prin. But another key factor coming into play is they are about to hit lapped traffic. Not a lot of it, just a few stragglers more or less at the far back. But it'll slowly build and become more of a problem for these guys, especially if they're trying to focus on each other a little bit to try to navigate the lap traffic. Get caught in the wrong line, wrong rut, whatever. Or a rider goes down in front of you, you have to hop a rut, make a huge mistake. It's Jack Gatlin on the 50 that Prin is catching, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Gatlin goes down in front of him, and Prin has to knife the front end to get out of the rut. Easily could have been a situation where it's a slide, front end slides, you hit your head, you fall off the bike, whatever. So nice maneuvering there by Prin, but Leitzel certainly is going to see these lappers coming into play and smells the opportunity ahead of him, because these two are so gone from the rest of the pack that now, if you're Leitzel a little bit here, you can start throwing caution to the wind again, and this is probably the time to do it, because more or less the track is only going to get much worse from here. It's maybe at its peak in terms of quali pace. So yeah, why not? Start trying to lay down some heaters and close that gap down if you can. If you can't, you settle for second. You have a huge gap anyway, so what's the point? But if you do make it happen and you do get up to Prin, then, sitting on your doorstep is your second straight 1-to-1 finish and another extension of the championship lead. But right there, you just made a couple of mistakes, and now we're out to almost 5 seconds as Prin checks in onto lap number 8. So Prin, Leitzel, Siebold. Now Sullivan has moved into 4th. He has gotten around Tharp and Cooper Hunt. Cooper Hunt has lost quite a few positions, actually, it looks like. Tharp. And now, Hunt right in front of Lucas Schwartner, and Cade Matherly coming up as well. So for Matherly's sake, what he wants to do here is get into 4th place. Whatever it takes to get to 4th place, that'll be enough to beat Jeremy Siebold. Good news for him is they're all pretty much right in front of him. The bad news is they're not going to be easy to pass because they're all very talented riders. So we'll see how the 38 machine elects to play it here a little bit. Man, lap traffic galore for our race leaders right now. Looks like Leitzel might be in the thick of it again. That gap is still pretty close, though, between Prin and Leitzel out front. 2.3 seconds, 18.5 last time by versus a 16.2, which, again, we saw Leitzel make a mistake right before the flag, but it seems as though Prin just got held up a decent little bit by lap traffic. And that is certainly going to open the door once again for Logan Leitzel to sneak back into the picture here. Prin has had more or less some smooth sailing from about lap 3 till now, because he's had a comfortable enough gap that he didn't have to think too much about Leitzel getting close to him. But now down to 2.7, it's just going to take a small bobble, another lap traffic situation, something, and Leitzel's right on Nathan Prin for the race lead. There we go, seeing more lap traffic. A couple riders down, some off the track. Fortunately for Prin in this situation, none of them were in his way, including right there, as he was not taking those specific lines that the riders were in. But just takes one. It just takes one. And Leitzel's certainly smelling blood in the water right now. That gap is stabilized and now at the 3-second mark. 15.9 versus an 18.2. So this is what I was talking about. I think Leitzel right here is thinking, I got 30 seconds behind me. I could crash twice and still easily get second place in this race. So why not? Why not throw caution in the wind a little bit here? Do some quali laps. See how close I can get to Prin. Maybe force a mistake. Maybe pass him. Whatever it takes. Because that certainly seems to be the case right now. He has gotten it down to 1.2 in this little sequence of corners. And Prin is suddenly a little bit vulnerable with the race lead here. Closing up on the 20-minute mark. We'll step up to the top out of the inside rut. You can see how rough some of those lines are starting to get as they develop those little notches and holes on the exit of the corners. Prin just able to land in that rut, but Leitzel got it so clean. And now Prin pushes a little bit wide. Here's Leitzel! Contact between the two! How does Leitzel stay on two wheels? Unbelievable save by the 16. He's going to lose some time, but Prin, I don't think, got the triple either. So it wasn't too much lost time in the end. That was a surefire fall-off crash for Leitzel that somehow he just popped right back up. Incredible stuff. But now he's fired up because Prin made a huge mistake and then cross-jumped him. And that is not going to sit well whatsoever with Leitzel as Prin pushes to the top of the hill but doesn't get the jump clean. Here comes Leitzel. To the inside, side by side over the finish line, jump between the two of them. And to the outside, Leitzel takes the lead at Thunder Valley. Now Prin's going to try to fight back. He settles into the rut behind him. Leitzel slides out and goes down. The very next corner, he pushes too wide and goes off the track. Unbelievable. That was building and building and building for 20 minutes. And the second he finally breaks through, he goes down the very next corner. He's going to be kicking himself so hard for that one. But the silver lining is he gave it a shot. And now Prin might be a little bit rattled and out of his element because he had to break pace just a little bit to push back to the level that Leitzel was putting down. And now we'll see whether Prin can settle back down into the comfortable pace that he was in. Whew! Got fun there for a sec as, whoa, Prin off the side of the track. Missed a timing gate right there. So that could be a bit critical down the stretch. But also lost a little bit of time as you see Leitzel now closes back in. Down to about 8.5 seconds or so. Working around some more lap traffic. There is Siebold though in third and Sullivan, in fourth. How about Lukas Schwertner, the rider out of Germany? Privateer Life here, number 311. It is a crisp, probably like 3 or 4 a.m. right now in Germany, depending on what side of the country he's on. I think most of Germany is CET and not GMT, but depending on where he is, very early in the morning. And just out here trying to pick up a top 5 in AMA Esport Motocross. Doing very well to do so right now. Matherly is up into 6th, so this is a bit of a critical juncture right here because with Siebold in 3rd, if Matherly can get to 5th, he and Siebold would tie. And any switch of the positions, if Matherly can get to 4th or maybe Siebold crashes and goes back to 4th, that puts Matherly back on the podium, which he would desperately love to have here at Thunder Valley. Johan Bordeaux, much, much better second moto so far. And still eyeing up opportunities ahead of him if possible. Tharp, Shirley, Cooper Hunt. Everybody's kind of settled into a bit of a zone here as we go back to the front. 7 minutes and 2 laps remain. Logan Leitzel just missed a timing gate coming up into the first corner as well. So again, just keeping an eye on that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a penalty system that is a part of MX Simulator where It calculates roughly how much time you gained off track between timing gates. So if you go from gate 11 to 13 too fast, essentially, it says this is the penalty that you're given for going too fast between those gates because you skipped gate 12 on the racetrack. So, oh, Leitzel front end over the run and down. Seemed inevitable that one of him or Prin was going to have a big mistake like that. And finally, for Leitzel's sake, pushes the front end and does it in back-to-back corners. So that is going to spell likely the end of his challenge for the win of this race, because now he's got to worry about Seabolt closing in from behind. Like I said, he could have fallen twice and still maintained second quite easily. Now if he falls again, a little bit more of a question mark. And this track is getting brutal, so Leitzel, take a deep breath, settle back into a pace. Second place isn't terrible. I will take 4 moto wins and 2 second places to start the season any day of the week, all day long. Someone ever said that to me in my MX Sim career, I am literally forking over a dump truck of cash. Never happened for me, so I'll take it. Seabolt just bombarded by lap traffic right now as teammate Luke Sullivan tries to keep things close. Then Schwartner right behind him. Cade Matherly then comes up next. So that's kind of your more or less battle for the podium that we're looking at right there, is Matherly trying to close up to Sullivan and Schwartner and make some passing. Or Schwartner and Sullivan get around Seabolt and more or less gift the podium to Matherly. We'll have to see how it plays out, though. Right now, for Seabolt's sake, he's just trying to weave through this lap traffic as careful as he can, while also not losing too much time to the guys behind him. But it's definitely kind of coming back to Sullivan a little bit here. Oh, Sullivan clips a rider, front flips, and down. So Schwartner goes by, but critically, right here coming down the hill now will be Cade Matherly to try to get into 5th place as he's dealing with lap traffic of his own. Matherly, tire taps, and down. Sullivan went down too, though, so Bordeaux is going to take advantage of both of them himself to go into 5th place. And now Lucas Schwartner would have to podium for Matherly to get the overall podium. But, yeah, I don't know. Things are changing a little bit too much here. I think Seabolt's got this thing pretty well in hand based on the positioning that everybody's at right now. Cooper Hunt, Seth Shirley. Shirley was second in our first moto, but down in 9th right now. Just a bit too far back at this point as well to consider a podium finish. He would need to get closer to that top 5 as well. We'll see how it plays out, though. All good news for this man out front, though. Nathan Prin, District Designs number 12. A 4th in Moto 1 is going to cost him a shot at the overall today. And if you remember back in that first moto, Prin was well on his way to a 2nd place finish. Had it pretty comfortable, actually. And then made a couple really odd late race mistakes. One of them was a crash. And I think another one was actually getting involved in the lap rider and then ending up off the racetrack and missing a timing gate. In both situations, he lost positions and went from 2nd rather easily to finishing 4th behind Shirley and Matherly. Had he been able to retain that 2nd place finish in the first moto, this would be his first overall win of the season happening right here, but it is not going to go his way. At least for the time being, he would need some serious help from the guys behind Logan Leitzel to sway the favor in the court of Nathan Prin, who's out to a 17-second advantage with about 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock before we see the 2-lap board displayed when Prin comes back around again. There's Seabolt. Oh, Schwartner down. How is this going to change stuff up? The Schwartner barrel rolls. That's a couple lapped riders going through. There is Sullivan. And there's Bordeaux, excuse me. Bordeaux on the 40 now goes to 4th. Schwartner back to 5th. Sullivan is in 6th. Sullivan peeking down the inside of Schwartner. but not close enough just yet. And where is Cade Matherly? Is he going to find his way into this mix? Because that could play into his favor with Bordeaux at the front of this group right here. Bordeaux, Shortner, and Sullivan. If they all get together, Matherly could get fourth and get that third overall that he really wants to get. Oh, they almost come together with a lapped rider. And Matherly is now, 12 seconds behind Sullivan, so not close enough unless these guys all have a huge crash together, which could happen. Here comes Shortner up the inside of the top of the hill trying to get Bordeaux. Turns to the inside here towards the bottom. And really just a solid pass right there by Lucas Shortner. Still gets the inside rut hooked as well. That is the first time really tonight I've seen that inside to inside used that well. I mean, he landed perfectly in those bumps at the top of the hill. Charged down the inside, which is a little bit smoother than the outside line that Bordeaux was taking anyway. And just clean, straight up pass. Nice move in the end by the German, and it culminates in him going over the bars and going down anyway. So all that hard work just throwing it away a couple corners later. Now trying to get going backwards through the ruts here. And rejoins amidst a slew of lap traffic with Cade Matherly a few seconds down, and now Shortner's down again. So Matherly up into 6th. Needs Sullivan and Bordeaux to get together ahead of him. But they're also a couple teammates acting as a buffer for their own teammate, Jeremy Seabolt, who's looking at a 5-3 finish for 3rd overall in the day as it stands. Another thing we have to maybe consider is, where is Seth Shirley? He's too far back. If Shirley could get to 6th, that would be 1 point better than a 5-3 to go 2-6. But he'd have to get right here to Cooper Hunt, and he's just hitting the triple back here, so it needs some crashing. Meanwhile, the time has expired, but these guys had already hit the flag. So this moto itself is faster than the first 250 moto because they are going to do 16 laps. The first 250 moto only did 15 because they hit the timer pretty much as it ran out. This time they had about maybe 10 seconds to spare or so beyond it. As Prin continues to lead the race. It's tightened up a little bit though. 11.6, 18 flat versus a 23.8. This isn't over yet. With 3 laps to go, Nathan Prin has plenty of opportunities to throw this one away. We'll see whether or not he is warming his arm up to really toss this one as far as he can. Or will he hold on for his first moto win of 2022. Back to Bordeaux versus Sullivan for 4th. Sullivan was in 4th forever. Right there behind Seabolt. And a couple mistakes has pushed him back to this battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, essentially. Definitely pushing up to Bordeaux, though. Could he make a pass happen? Outside to inside, not quite close enough just yet. Hopping up to that inside plateau. And I'm going to go on board here with Sullivan because I just want to show, again, 30 minutes into this moto, how gnarly the track is. You can see where these bumps are starting to develop. Little chop all the way through the corner. Then look at this right here. Look at how big some of these bumps are coming into this corner. And they try to hop into these ruts and get it just right as he avoids narrowly his teammate Bordeaux swapping. So we'll switch back to Bordeaux, who's now 5th. The battle continues, but the positions have changed. The 22.4 for Bordeaux. He just went nose high over the finish line jump. Johnny Padani's right behind him as a lapped rider. Tough luck for Batani this moto, who was 8th in the first moto. Definitely could have put a solid day together, but alas, it will not go his way today. Oh, Siebel just went down in third. Wow, will this change anything? No, I think he's like halfway up the hill here, isn't he? Yeah, right towards the top there. So Sullivan will close back in, but not going to be close enough at this point in time. The reason why I say that is Matherly is in 6th, and a 3-6 versus a 4-4, or a 5-4, excuse me. No, I still think... No, 3-6 would get it by a point. Yeah, so if Sullivan can get his teammate Siebold and push him back to 4th, that knocks Siebold off the podium by a single point. Because right now, Cade Matherly is off the podium by a single point. But Siebold would lose 2 points by losing that 3rd position. So we'll see if he can settle back into a pace, not keep making little mistakes here and there. Sullivan and Bordeaux try to close up. Here's Matherly kind of all by himself now in 6th. And that's going to be the fight for the podium to keep an eye on. Meanwhile, Prin, comfortable out front ahead of Leitzel, should be picking up the white flag right here. There it is, white flag waving. 1 lap to go for race leader Nathan Prin. Trying to win his first moto of 2022. End up 2nd overall and critically just stop the bleeding because Logan Leitzel was sending daggers through the field in the first 5 motos of the year. And provisionally speaking, coming into this moto, it was extended out to a 36-point advantage. So Prin will lose points overall on the day. It'll go from a 29-point deficit to a 33-point deficit. But at least what you can say now is he's proven he can win again, and the tides could shift back to his favor as we head to the more East Coast tracks with High Point next week and Redbud the week after. This could be a very monumental momentum shift and a moto victory for Nathan Prin here tonight at Thunder Valley. So Siebold, Sullivan, Bordeaux still fighting it out for 3rd place. And the final step on the podium looms in the balance. So Sullivan... Oh, wait a minute, actually. What I totally didn't realize in this situation is Sullivan's going to go down and it's not going to matter anyway. But Sullivan getting around Siebold would have actually given Sullivan 3rd overall. He would have gotten 6-3 to Matherly's 3-6. Whereas Siebold would have went 5-4, and Sullivan 6-3 would have gotten it by a single point over Siebold and a tie with a tiebreaker over Matherly, but now it doesn't matter because he went down anyway and he's back to 5th. So no harm, no foul in the end. But as mentioned, big old momentum shifter, and certainly one of these motos where Prin can look back and be like, I went toe-to-toe with the guy that has literally dominated us all through the first 5 motos and beat him straight up. How about it, folks? Let's hear it for your winner. Moto 2 goes to Nathan Prin. Logan Leitzel will have to settle for 2nd in this moto. But again, the silver lining is it is an overall victory again. So a few corners left to go, and for the 3rd straight round to start the season, Logan Leitzel is going to leave with the most points on the table that he can from Thunder Valley. It's a 1-2 performance on the day, but Logan Leitzel takes the Thunder Valley National in MX Simulator. Straight to the podium he goes, looking exhausted, as Siebold crosses the line in 3rd. Sullivan will have to settle for 4th, and Bordeaux, he'll end up going 9-5 on the day, but a solid effort in that first moto to get inside the top 10, and then a solid top 5 performance here in Moto 2. Cade Matherly by slimmest of margins, a single point in the end of it all, is going to have to settle for 4th place on the day, so misses out on the podium. by 1 point. Still a 3-6 performance, his best results of the season. Cooper Hunt will get 7th. Lucas Shortner coming to the line will pick up an 8th in this moto. Seth Carr looks like he's got 9th. Seth Shirley versus Frank Jackson for the final spot inside of the top 10 is still going on, though. Shirley, after second in the first moto, going to be bummed with this 10th, but definitely wants 10th instead of 11th. As, oh, he gets sideways and gets kicked off the bike. So Frank Jackson will scoot through and make it into the top 10 here at the flag. Jackson, P10, here tonight. Uh-oh, Shirley up and over again, going to lose another position. Braden Tharp comes up out of nowhere and gets 11th, and Shirley goes 212. He'll be gutted with that second moto performance. Trent Adams looks like he'll get 13th, and Sonny Spicer will be 14th as he is the last rider on the lead lap. Bodie Parker ended up 15th in this one. Casey Cochran, 15-16 today for him. Definitely a date to forget ultimately for the number 20. Tanner Rogers, 17th. Sean Hambrook in 18th. Brett Powers was 19th. And Evan Holt picks up the 20th and final points paying position as we wait for those cuts to come in. One more rider to cross the line. Sonny Spicer over the line he goes. Take a look at the cuts inside of the points paying positions, and nothing changes. Prin wins the moto. Leitzel wins the overall here at Thunder Valley. All right. Quite a fun moto right there that we just had for our second 250 moto of the night. And many congratulations to that man right there, Logan Leitzel, for winning the overall here tonight. And he is now disconnected from the server. Get a bird's eye view here real quick of the Thunder Valley racetrack and how much those lines have developed. See it pretty much all through right there, how much the lines have changed. All right, one final moto here tonight. It is 450 moto number 2 coming up. As a quick reminder of those finishing orders in the first 450 moto of the night. Payson Johnson took the win ahead of Tyler Lang, Adam Holm, Kevin Frazeka, and Braden Carter inside of the top 5. Chase Blakely was 6th with Braden Castellaneta 7th, Nico Marchini in 8th, Bryce Whelan was 9th, and John Heilman rounded out the top 10. Reed McYoung 11th, Kyle Carpenter 12th, Reno Brennan was 13th, Caleb Hall 14th, Devin Davis ended up in 15th with Alexis Leclerc in 16th, Pablo Vial was 17th, Dylan Smith in 18th, Daniel Mills 19th, and Jacob Hubbard, the final points paying position, in 20th. That's how the first moto finished up. Moto number 2 coming up here in the 450 class. Alrighty, folks. One more moto still to go here at Thunder Valley. Can Johnson do what Leitzel was unable to do and have yet another moto sweep like we saw right there last week at Hangtown? Johnson has won 4 of the first 5 motos of 2022, but so too did Leitzel. Tell you what, who's really going to need a turnaround moto this time through is Alexis Leclerc. 16th in the first moto. We saw him well outside of the top 30 at one point. So kudos to him to even regroup enough to get back into a points paying position, get 16th in that first moto, but coming in as the man second in the championship to this round. Just not a good look whatsoever for Leclerc to basically have a throwaway moto, right? Like, if everyone's going to have one bad moto, Leclerc has now had it. He cannot have another bad moto this year and really expect to still win this championship, I think. So, has to regroup. And the best thing he can do is come out here and win this second moto and limit the damage against Payson Johnson. Of course, another thing to consider is Tyler Lang, pace-wise, was pretty close in that first moto, at least in the second half, to what Johnson was able to put down. Just didn't start with him and never really got the fair shot to challenge him straight up for the lead either. So what could a start for Tyler Lang do this time around? We might be able to find out this time through. Alrighty, going to the line in Moto 2, Nico Marchini, Pablo Vial, Tyler Lang, Caleb Hall, Braden Carter, Caden Gross, Chris Post, J.R. Reyes, Payson Johnson, Sam Goffam, Daniel Mills, John Heilman, Dylan Cavacuti, Roy Mitchell, Devin Davis, Kyle Carpenter, Caden Speck, Ashton Rakovsky, Jack Mark, Dylan Smith, Jacob Hubbard, Braden Castellaneta, Alexis Leclerc, Alex Kerr, Adam Holm, Reno Brennan, Reed McYoung, Bob Joe, Bryce Whelan, Jack Fowler, Matthias Janis, Robert Wilson, Kevin Ferzaka, Jack Haley, Brandon Larson. And that is the running order that we will expect to see here in just a few moments as we drop the gate for 450 Moto 2 from Thunder Valley. All right, there we go. The call has been made. The final moto is set and ready to go here tonight at Thunder Valley. Another 30-minute plus 2-lap battle for supremacy in Colorado. Who comes out on top? We are about to find out now. So waiting on maybe someone to load in by the looks of it. 44 of John Heilman. See who we can take a look at on the start that would maybe be in a good position. How about Payson Johnson? He's far down the inside, but maybe that's where we want to take a look at this time and see where everybody comes out. Here we go, folks. Final race of the night. It's 450 Moto 2 live from Thunder Valley. Some bar banging, and Leclerc is down halfway up the hill. And more riders get collected together. Johnson may come out with the whole shot. No, Braden Carter, back-to-back Studio 8 whole shot awards for this Supercross champion. Johnson was kind of rubbing elbows with Leclerc, and this is a carbon copy of what we saw in the first moto with Carter leading and Johnson closing up behind him, trying to take that early lead away. I did not see, I think Lang may have gotten collected in some of that first turn carnage as Carter slides the rear end of the corner and high sides off the bike. Bad news for everybody else in the field. Johnson has the lead, and he's already got 2.5 seconds. Pablo Vial settles into second place as some contact in the background goes on J.R. Reyes. Some cross-jumping there with, I think, Caden Speck it was on the Connect Visual number 41. Where, oh, where is Tyler Lang? Where did Leclerc end up after that first turn melee? Braden Carter settles back into 16th place, and I still don't see the one. Leclerc is 17th. There is Carter. Saw Leclerc peeking through in there. No sign of the champ. Rakovsky, Whelan, Blakely, McYoung, Mitchell, Mills, Cavacuti, Fowler, Chris Post, Goffam, Jack Mark. Did I miss him? Where is the champ? Must have gone right by him back here somewhere. Or is he further up than I thought he was? Oh, he is. He was tucked behind somebody. I didn't quite see him go by, but he's behind J.R. Reyes for 4th. So Lang already into 4th place. That's maybe some good news for all of us watching to not let Payson Johnson get too big of a lead. He's got to get around J.R. Reyes, though. And one of the Yogi riders, Pablo Vial. Lang is going to make a pass on Reyes to get into 3rd. Scrub the finish line jump at the end of the first lap in third place and set sail after Pablo Vial on the Yogi Designs 137. But Payson Johnson is already gone. He is looking like a Ken Roczen replica, basically, in this moto that he did in the first moto as well. Get the lead and immediately open up as much of a gap as you possibly can so that no one's even close by the time they get into second place if they're trying to challenge you for this overall, perhaps on the day, like Tyler Lang is. Uh-oh, Johnson's down. He's down at the top of the hill. He's sideways in the track. He's going to get going. Still in second place, and that is what getting ridiculous speed in the first couple laps will do for you. But Pablo Vial has taken over the race lead, and this completely changes the dynamic of this race because Johnson not only has to pass back into the lead, he's got Tyler Lang right behind him. Vial is off the track nearly as Johnson goes back to the front. So very quick change right there, and Lang has to go now. He has to get Pablo Vial, who's making way too many quick mistakes right here, and that's going to hinder Lang. And again, more mistakes from Vial as he gets right in Lang's way. Pushes to the outside, and look at how much time this is costing Lang. Several little mistakes from Vial, and Johnson's just going. Big scrub for Vial. Lang trying to follow suit. They're maybe starting to catch back just a little bit up on Payson Johnson. But I feel like if you're Lang, you just have to force a pass here, I think. I know you want to be patient. You don't want to let things get too riley and maybe put yourself on the ground, but with the way we've seen Johnson ride this year, again, similar to Leitzel versus Prin in the 250 class, you just have to limit the damage. And finally breaking through, there goes Lang into second place. So now the rabbit chase is on a little bit. 4.2 seconds. So we're going to see if early race pace Tyler Lang can match early race pace Payson Johnson, because he certainly had it in the second half of the moto and the first moto, but he was nowhere close to him to really show it. Now it's only 4 seconds down. You know, you run a 1-2 second lap faster pace right now, you're going to catch him for the lead in no time. So here we go. This is quite the test right here to see what's going on. And right now, it looks like Johnson's pace is a bit unmatchable. Hey, shout out Pablo Vial, too, putting the pressure on Lang still from behind, not letting the champ go. The gap is stabilized at about 5.4 by the looks of it, but again, just not really the same, I think, pace I think that that Lang was able to match, at least in the second half of the first moto. So Janice has now moved into third place. Panini Motorsports number 14. Vial back to fourth. Kyle Carpenter into fifth. Reno Brennan sixth. Braden Carter is in seventh. Brandon Larson in 8th, Jack Haley 9th, John Heilman 10th. For Zaka, man who finished 4th in the first moto, runs in 11th, Chase Blakely in 12th. Nico Marchini just went down in 13th. That's going to go to Adam Holm now. Marchini gets going just as the 46 of Robert Wilson hops over him. There's Bryce Whelan, Bob Joe, Blake O'Brien, Alex Kerr, and then Leclerc on the 7 in 20th. So still, just something is off today with the 7. I just can't pick it out. It is so peculiar to see Leclerc, who normally is just so good outdoors. It doesn't even matter how much time he's out on the track or whatever. He just does it. 14.6, 2:10.9. To put that into perspective, people, nobody has ran a 2.109 except Payson Johnson in qualifying. And that is when these guys are throwing caution to the wind. And Johnson ran a 2:09. Everybody else was 2:11 or higher. The man right here just did a 2:10.9 in the race. Unbelievable pace. I just don't know how you match that. I don't know how you match that pace. Gap's out over 10 seconds now. And at this point, it looks like it has no signs of slowing down. And the only person that can hurt himself at this point seems to be Payson Johnson. It's going to be a long time before he hits lap traffic. So he has smooth sailing for the next 4 or 5 laps probably before he hits lap traffic to just put in these types of laps. And maybe that's a little bit of the plan, right? Is to push it to the gap that he had in the first moto. So when he and Lang are matching each other's pace, doesn't have to push it then. Just can hit his marks. Uh-oh, hit a tough block though on the face of that jump, and I thought he was going through the front door, but looks like he just pulled it right back, no problem. So Lang second, Janice third, Carpenter fourth, Carter inside the top 5. Pilars and Reno Brennan going at it, with Pablo Vial just behind them. So a little 3-rider pack right here. Nice fight between some guys that are really looking for some solid results right here. Brennan swings wide, and Pablo Vial takes advantage. Now it's a freight train. As coming up from behind, John Heilman on the 44 sneaking into the picture. Side by side, Pablo Vial trying to get Brandon Larson, but clips the top of that little wall jump. And Reno Brennan closes right back up with John Heilman. They're almost going to be bar to bar over the finish line jump. 3 riders in the air at the same time. And it seems as though Lang went down because the gap went from 10 to 20 rather quickly. Lang still in second place. But Johnson now definitely in control at the front of this thing, so we'll keep an eye on some of these more entertaining midfield battles. To the top of the hill, to the outside, and back down again. You get a real good eye test there of who's willing to charge just a little bit later into the bumps. And this time it seems like Vial is the man on the mission. He is much later on the brakes than not only Larson in front of him, but Heilman behind him. Pushed the gap ahead from Heilman and closed the gap right up behind Larson. Good little fight here. Couple 3-digit riders inside of the top 10. Huge whip slash scrub for Pablo Vial. It's been a good little back and forth yo-yo of a battle, but kind of stabilizing right now, and maybe actually going back to the favor of Larson, who's putting some good pace down, but he clips the top of that jump and goes down. Vial goes by, as does Heilman, and just as I say that, the battle finally turns to the tides of the number 137 machine there, Vial. Back up the road a little ways, Braden Carter working on Kyle Carpenter in what I believe is a battle for 4th place right now. That is Matthias Janis just ahead of him, so this is 4th place. And these guys are about 10 seconds behind Tyler Lang right now. Oh man, Carpenter getting kicked around a little bit. To the outside goes Carter, turns to the inside at the top of the hill, and in the end, a rather easy pass for the 9 into 4th place. So a better day so far for Carter, at least in terms of the overall perspective. He's going 5-4 at the moment, which will land him on the box if he stays there, depending on where Adam Holm and Kevin Verzaka are able to get to. Adam Holm is in 10th working on Chase Blakely, and I think Verzaka is a couple spots behind him in 15th. So it's going to be a little bit of an uphill climb as Holm goes to 9th. And we'll get 8th on Bryce Whelan right there as well. Here comes Leclerc, though. This is pretty big moments right here, championship-wise, because Leclerc needs to gain pretty much every single position that's right in front of him back to limit some serious damage. Just outside of the top 10 right now is the 7, and he's got a freight train of guys right in front of him that he would love to get around. Brandon Larson there in 12th, just ahead of him. And the 2 of Jack Haley kind of trying to come with him. These are 2 guys that really at definitely at Hangtown last week were forces to be reckoned with very fast, were Leclerc and Haley. This week it has been rough sailing for both of them, though. Not sure what's going on. Haley not even in the points in the first moto, actually 34th. Leclerc is able to get to 16th and going to pass Brandon Larson right there. Haley's going to try to follow suit to the inside and will get it done as well. So these 2 pretty much freight training together at this point, trying to work their way forward. Reno Brennan would be the next rider on their list, and Leclerc, this outside to inline, might have an opportunity to square it off in the first turn. And Brennan just, I don't know if he missed the rut or just pushed wide on purpose, but swung way out there and allows both Leclerc and Haley by as well. So they are moved up now into, I believe, 11th and 12th respectively, and have a bit of a freight train still just ahead of them that they would like to go after, including Blakely, Bryce Whelan, Adam Holm. Back to Carter, Pablo Vial, John Heilman in a freight train as well. So Carter has lost touch from Kyle Carpenter, whom he passed a few laps ago, if you remember. And then Johnson is out front, but the gap has gone back down. 8.4, a 2:14.3 last time by for Lang. And here we are at the halfway point of Moto 2. So this is the exact spot that we really got to mark Lang versus Johnson in the first Moto. And at least in the first Moto, Lang, pace-wise, was pretty much the exact same, if not maybe even a little bit better than Johnson, as the track really got rough and tattered up. And on top of that, lap traffic, again, going to start coming into play a little bit more here too. So it's another thing that these guys will have to think about. Lang lost a little bit of ground right there after clipping a hay bale on the inside, but still keeping that gap under the 10-second mark. Oh, rider down. And that was not the race leader Johnson. That was a lapped rider in a blind spot off the top of the first corner, and Lang goes down. Oh. Hate to see it. It's going to allow Janice to close back in a little bit. Hey, here comes Adam Holm. So Adam Holm trying to land on the box here today after a third in the first moto. And is he? I think he's ahead of Carter now, is he not? No, yeah, he is. Yeah, Carter's behind him. So Carter and Whelan now behind him. So Adam Holm, pretty sure has, well, now as I say that, he goes down. Carter hits him, as does Whelan, and everybody funnels by around the outside there. Blakely, wow, and Leclerc. Blakely and Leclerc were the two ones that went by. Leclerc is up to 7th. And he's running 215s, 214s. Much better second moto right here for Leclerc. And he has gone from outside of the top 15 in a hurry to 7th. And still has a lot of guys in front of him that he could catch. So not sure what was wrong with Leclerc for the first 40 minutes tonight, but last 7 minutes have been really good, and we'll see if he can keep that upward trend going. Definitely having that gap come down to Heilman ahead of him a little bit. Pablo Vial would also be someone that you'd think Leclerc could probably catch on merit. Kyle Carpenter catching up to Matthias Janis a little bit. And then Lang up to Johnson. Let's give you guys a top 20 rundown here as we are 18 minutes down, 12 minutes, and a lap left to go. Payson Johnson on the PJ number 51 machine. It says privateer, but it's kind of on his own program this year. Is currently leading this race and on his way to his 4th consecutive moto victory, his 5th moto win of the season, and his 3rd straight overall victory to start the year as well. Second place right now, Tyler Lang, 2nd week in a row that he would go 2-2 and watch the championship lead slip even further away. But his Underground Phil's number 1 machine is having yet another solid day at the races. Matthias Janis, Panini Motorsports number 14, sits in 3rd. Kyle Carpenter, the 39 Tiger Designs machine, is in 4th. And Pablo Vial on the 137 Yogi Designs ride is in 5th. 6th place for the 44 SwapMotoLive.com of John Heilman. 7th now, Alexis Leclerc on the Panini Motorsports backed by Safe Moon machine. Braden Carter, the number 9 Phil's Underground RC ride, is in 8th. 9th for Bryce Whelan, his teammate on the 45, and 10th for Adam Holm on the Aspect Visual Co. number 17. Chase Blakely, the BPC number 21, sits in 11th. 12th for Kevin Frazaka on the Motocross Outlet number 74. 13th for Jack Haley on the JDR number 2. 14th for Reno Brennan right behind him on the Wild Side Designs number 0. 15th for Jacob Hubbard, Phil's Underground RC number 78. 16th for his teammate Braden Castellaneta on the 26 right behind him. 17th, it's the Stance, number 531 of Brandon Larson. 18th for Blake O'Brien on the Karaunik, number 167. This is 19th, Chris Post on the iLadies.com number 96. And 20th for Caleb Hall on the Underground Phil's number 33. That's top 20 rundown here with 10 minutes and 2 laps left to go in the final 450 moto of the night from Thunder Valley. Tyler Lang has gone down again. He is so by himself, though, in second place that it really doesn't matter. 26 seconds behind Payson Johnson. And I guess you could say a little bit that hurts him because the gap to Janis goes from 22 to probably about 13 here. Let's see. 14.2. Yeah, it settles out at about 14.2 right there, so hurts a little bit, but yeah, Lang is all by himself in second place. Pablo Vial there in third, in fourth, I should say, 2 seconds behind Matthias Janis. So Vial, solid effort for the 137 machine down the stretch of this one. After finishing 17th in the first moto, he could maybe get third in this one. And it doesn't seem that far-fetched because he has really turned it up here after being a bit of a roadblock for Tyler Lang and then falling back through the order. I don't know if maybe he just found a groove that he didn't have early in the moto or what happened, but definitely a different guy as we move into the final third of this race. And I personally always think it's really awesome to see riders from foreign countries, out of Europe, Australia, whatever it is, race the North America Series, because the time of day that this race happens for these guys to race is really tough. And I believe Vial out of France on the Yogi Designs number 137. Again, just like we saw with Shortner in the 250 class, Vial is up right now at 4 a.m. in France. Just motoing down, trying to get on the box, and there it is, gets around Matthias Janis, who went down in the off-camber. Oh, and an awful track reentry from Jack Mark puts Leclerc on the ground, who was in fifth. And it looks like Jack Mark instantly disconnected. Leclerc frustrated, trying to turn around and get going the right way. But clearly that cost him a ton of time as he was right behind Matthias Janus, who was just getting going. And now he is 12 seconds down. That was maybe a podium potential for Leclerc, which it's still possible. Vial is only 14 seconds ahead of him with basically 12 minutes of a race left to go here. But yeah, that is certainly going to be frustration for Leclerc to see that unfold. 19.8 Janus, 18.2 Vial. Let's get some lap time checks here. So Johnson out front still doing 17.7s. Working through some more lap traffic. Now has some clean air finally. 15.4 for Lang. But that was right after a crash. Lost him a bunch of ground. So he is kind of putting the afterburners back on to ensure he gets the second place finish. Pablo Vial in third. Looks like he's on a pretty good lap right here, but just had to come to a weird stop in that corner to avoid a downed rider. Lays down a 19.2. 22.5 for Janus right behind him. And Leclerc, even with the crash, I'm curious to see what this time is. Basically added like an extra 11 seconds to it and does a 25.8. So that's... yeah, Leclerc's definitely on pace right now. If he can put down a couple of 15s in a row, he's going to catch Janus. Will he catch Vial as well? Time will tell, and let's see how much time he's eating away in these uphills through the first couple sectors of the racetrack. But this is the Leclerc I just didn't really see in the first moto. I don't know what was going on with him, but just seemed flustered and out of sorts, and not the same Leclerc that we've known all these years to just be ice cold in his veins and able to put down some of the most ridiculous laps consecutively that I've ever seen and not look like he's really trying to do it. The first moto was basically the opposite of it. He was crashing a lot and looked like he was really trying hard, which is so un-Leclerc-like. But now we're seeing the old form of the fast Frenchman, the four-time national champion. Look at that, just hopping through the bumps. I mean, it just looks so easy when you watch him do it. It is not this easy, folks. Especially as rough and rugged as this racetrack has gotten at this point of it. Definitely quite a challenge. And Leclerc is putting it through the paces a little bit here. So the gap kind of stabilizing right now at 8.2. He'd gotten it down from that 11-second gap, but again, it's kind of this more tighter technical stuff that it seems like Leclerc really is thriving on. And again, I'd like to get a lap time check this time through to see how much time he's chunking away from Janus and Vial ahead of him, and see if mathematically it's still possible, because we're at the final 4.5 minutes plus 2 laps of this race. So we've maybe got 5 laps to go. And definitely, I would say, based on how much time he's gained this lap, it is possible. But just to be sure, we'll see what time he puts down and where it stacks up against the guys ahead of him. So Leclerc crosses the line. He's going to lay down a 14.2, almost matches his best lap of the race. These guys just went 18.4 and 17.5. They are also upping their pace, realizing Leclerc is catching them, I think. But even so, Leclerc just chunked away 3 seconds from Vial and 4 seconds from Janus. Relatively easy, and now these guys are battling each other for this third position, which of course is only going to help Leclerc's case to try to close up from behind, while these two are also trying to lap riders as well. So before long, I have a feeling Leclerc is going to be on the back door of this battle for third place, and definitely a 16.3 performance, not what Leclerc wanted. But talking about that throwaway race that Leclerc has more or less to get rid of, you know, that's going to be his throwaway race. But I think he just went down again. Yeah. Now 13 seconds down. So he had closed that gap down, and then it opened back up again. Battle for third is on, though. Janus wants to get back by Vial. And Janus, even in the first moto, didn't score points either. So Vial a 17th and Janus a 28th in the first moto. Both these guys really need this turnaround just as much as Leclerc does. And the overall podium is going to be a little bit confusing. It's 1-1-2-2 at the front, but then everything else behind that is kind of scattered about. It could be Adam Holm. We'll see where Holm is. Braden Carter with a 5th in the first moto. Perhaps he's in the mix. Chase Blakely with a 6th in the first moto does have an outside chance at it as well. Janice putting so much pressure here on Pablo Vial. Outside to in doesn't quite work. Vial defends the line well. He's even able to pretty cleanly double out of that inside rut. And Leclerc is still charging, so we will see if there is enough time to make it happen. Kind of depends on Johnson, I guess, right? I think Johnson is going to get another lap. Uh-oh, Janice into the back of the 65 right there. That's Luca Marchini going a lap down in 26th? Or Nico, I should say. I keep calling him Luca. My apologies. Nico Marchini. As Vial getting away clean as Janice goes down again. And Leclerc moves into 4th. So 24-5 even with some sort of crash. 10 seconds down of Vial with likely maybe even 4 to go. Yeah, 4 to go. Leclerc down again. Just cannot stay off the ground right now. Ken the 7. Gonna get going pretty close behind his teammate Janice there, but right in front of Chase Blakely. And Blakely sitting on a 6-6 somehow might actually get the podium. Well, Adam Holmes 3-7 will certainly do it over the 6-6. That seems to be the only... Well, Carter also in the mix too, but definitely Holmes 3-7 is giving him 3rd overall for the time being. And getting around Blakely would just be some icing on the cake. The number 17 machine if he could get it done. Leclerc going to go back to work on Janice. Vial tossing it out there. And Payson Johnson checks in with 35 seconds left on the clock, so this is already going to be a faster moto than the first one. And again, we are going 16 laps, so this is 3 to go now for Johnson out front, as time will expire before he comes around yet again. Laying off the side of the track there on that tricky little jump. Ooh, little tire tap, little nose tap at the top of the hill there. But fortunate not to get kicked all wild and crazy. Pablo Vial just kind of hopping down the hill a little bit here. So where is our battles? Maybe Carter versus Heilman? Either that or perhaps Leclerc closing back up to his teammate Janice. Let's look at Carter here. He'll get on board at the 9. So it's a potential 5-7 or 5-8 maybe for Carter today. Pretty much about what we've seen out of him to start the year, which isn't terrible because he's probably going to get 4th overall and still be pretty, in the midst of the championship hunt beyond the top line of the championship. But I think if you're Carter and you win a bunch of Supercross races indoors and you're back-to-back Supercross champion, you just feel like you should be more of an outdoor threat than he's been so far. But just the way it goes is Heilman goes down and Carter makes the pass easy in the end. Holm also goes by. And Blakely up here trying to close up to Leclerc. Janice just went down or what happened, not sure. Leclerc is through his teammate, though, into 4th place. And then the next question is Pablo Vial too far ahead? Probably. 17 seconds is probably too far ahead in 2.5 laps for Leclerc to get to his countryman. But you never know. Maybe Vial has another crash in him, and then Leclerc has to put in a couple of his burner laps, and it'll be enough. Leclerc tosses a big scrub, and then we go to Vial tossing a big whip as well. And then Johnson tossing a big whip as well. Everybody's throwing it out there. Just a couple more laps to go here at Thunder Valley before we are all done for the third round of this championship. Payson Johnson well in control at the front. Lang in second. Vial in third. Leclerc in fourth. Blakely is up to fifth. And we're going to have to see how these overalls shake out. A 6.5 now for Blakely. Carter is on a 5.7. So Blakely has got that beat. Adam Holm is on a 3.8. And I would have to do some math to figure that out. Oops. Better go on board and see 6.3 down. Kevin Frazaka is right behind Adam Holm too. So Frazaka, I wonder if he realizes how much of a potential there is for a podium for him here. So right now, Frazaka with a fourth, which is 18 points, and a ninth, which is 12 points, is sitting on 30 points. Adam Holm with a third, which is 20 points, and an eighth, which is 13 points, is sitting on 33 points. Braden Carter with a fifth, which is 16 points, and in seventh, which is 14 points, is also sitting on 30 points. So he and Frazaka are tied right now. And Blakely with a fifth and a sixth. Sixth is worth 15 points, and a fifth is worth 16 points. He's on 31 points right now. So Blakely is currently fourth overall as they run, with Adam Holm third overall by 2 points ahead of Blakely. Everything is so topsy-turvy. Meanwhile, though, what's not topsy-turvy is the fact that Payson Johnson has just taken the white flag out front. Final lap of the race here at Thunder Valley. And we've been over the numbers already, but Payson Johnson en route to a pretty historic start to this 2022 AMA Esport Motocross Championship in MX Simulator. Potentially his fifth moto win from 6 motos to start the year. His lone blemish was a second place finish at the second moto of the year at Fox Raceway behind Alexis Leclerc. Leclerc is the only other rider to have won a moto this year, but Johnson did still win the overall at the opening round and has had the red plate ever since. Then he went 1-1 at Hangtown and is currently en route to a 1-1 performance at Thunder Valley. The only person in the last 2 weeks that has been somewhat on his playing field has been defending champion Tyler Lang, who has gone 2-2-2-2 now behind him. But clearly the pace is still in the favor of Payson Johnson, who is at a 45-second advantage of this moto, and that little crash right there is not going to hurt him whatsoever. He is still going to have a huge lead. Whoa, here we go. Look at this battle. Blakely, Janice, and Carter going at it. Oh, that is Janice going down. I think Carter realizes that he's got a real shot at an overall podium right here if he can maybe pass Blakely. Look at this, to the outside. Is he going to get that pass? Yes, he is. 5-5 performance now for Braden Carter. That is 16 and 16, 32 points. Adam Holm is still in 8th, though, which is 33 points on the day for Adam Holm. And Carter's going to miss the podium by a single point as they run. But at least for him, he is now up into the top 5. And a couple top 5s on the day is certainly going to be a big plus for the 2022 Supercross champion. But how about this dude right here? Just relentless. So good to start the season. Gonna be perfect in overalls and near perfect in the motos. Back-to-back 1-1 performances. Payson Johnson wins the Thunder Valley National in MX Simulator. Tyler Lang, another 2-2 performance for the defending champion coming up. And Pablo Vial, no idea what was in him in the first moto, but the 17th clearly is not the same Pablo Vial that we're seeing right here. That is on his way to a 3rd place in this one. And Carter has gotten Leclerc. Where's Leclerc? Wow, Leclerc has coughed up a lot of spots. Carter went by. Blakely went by as well. And that actually gives Carter an extra 2 points, which means his 5-4 would be enough for 3rd overall, depending on where Holm gets to. If Holm gets Janice and Leclerc, I think it would still be enough, but he'd have to get both of them. weird turn of events here as Lang finally crosses the line in second. Pablo Vial should be over the line here shortly. In third place. And Braden Carter has fought back to fourth here as Vial does get third. And Carter looks like he is about to be rewarded with an overall podium. The fifth place worth 16 points. The fourth place worth 18 points. That is 34 points right there. And Braden Carter, 5-4 might be enough. Leclerc on Blakely in the last turn by a nose. Chase Blakely gets fifth. And Janice will settle for seventh. Adam Holm gets eighth. And by a single point is going to miss the podium to Braden Carter. As it will be Johnson, Lang, Carter, your unofficial podium here at Thunder Valley tonight. John Heilman looks like he's going to bring it home in ninth in this one. To go with his 10th in the first moto, a solid day at the office for Heilman. Castellaneta over the line in 10th. Reno Brennan with a solid 11th. Kevin Frazaka gets 12th. So 4-12 for Frazaka. Might still have a shot at the top 5 overall. It's going to be close. Kyle Carpenter 13th. Bryce Whelan will get 14th in this one. And Brandon Larson, last guy in the lead lap, in 15th. O'Brien 16th. Hubbard 17th. Post 18th. Hall 19th. And Rakovsky with a final point in 20th. Here are the cuts coming in. Just waiting for one rider to cross the line. And any day now, just waiting for that rider to cross. There we go. Cuts are in. Let's take a look. Oh, Leclerc got Blakely for 5th, but that does not change the overalls. Carter still on the box in 3rd place. Lang 2nd, and Johnson, your overall winner here tonight from Thunder Valley. Wow. Well, it was a fun night at the races here for round 3 of the AMA Esport Motocross Championship and MX Simulator. Kellen Brower in the booth, bringing you guys the action all night long, and we'll be here all season long as well. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Certainly enjoyed it here from the commentating position, and it was a lot of fun to have you guys all involved in the chat. Thanks so much again for tuning in each week, whether you're watching on Start Your Systems on YouTube, Init Esports on Twitch, or ESTV or ESTV Plus. We thank you guys so much for watching AMA Esport Motocross Championship here in MX Simulator. Thanks, of course, to Race Factory Gaming and InitEsports.gg for putting on this show. You guys could head over to InitEsports.gg and RaceFactoryGaming.com to get involved in the series. You can head over to MXSimulator.com if you'd like to try out this game. You can use try out the demo for free and see kind of how the physics model in the game works, and then the full game there for $42 if you'd like to try and get involved in the community here. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, that is round 3 at Thunder Valley done and dusted behind us. So thanks guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week, same time, same place for the High Point National and MX Simulator as we head over to the East Coast now, going to Pennsylvania, and some hilly conditions and a lot of ruts and a lot of fun. So we hope to see you guys then. But this is Kellen Brower signing off for now, and we'll see you guys at High Point next week for round 4 of the AMA Esport Motocross Championship. So long for now.